Chapter 48-25. Looking at the beast that looked like a hexagon but was oval in the middle, with more than 10 tentacles extending from the 4 sides, Little White Dragon said in a low voice, "Big brother, this is a kind of demon from the Hua Tian realm, called Sha Hong." The Sha Hong spirit revealed himself and immediately said warily, "Demon King Imosa, what are you doing here? My great sage said he wouldn't see you. Please return." Whoosh. Monarch Masa didn't waste any time talking to the spirit. He stuck out his thick tongue, and the space within a few hundred meters around him was locked down. His tongue then pierced through the void and entered the gravel demon's body. Boom. With a huge sound, the 3,000-meter-long Sha Hong's body collapsed. Not only that, but even the tiny grains of sand turned to dust. "What?" Demon King Imosa roared. "Minghua, I've come to your foundation hall. Come out and see me." Demon King Imosa's roar attracted the attention of many demon soldiers. Whoa! With a gust of wind, groups of strange demons flew out from the sand dunes and quickly formed a squad in front of Demon King Imosa. Swoosh! Several gray demonic lights flashed. A grasshopper demon clan with bronze-colored body, a Sha Hong demon clan with fist-sized gravel all over its body, a demon clan with a completely stone-like body, and a demon clan with short spikes all over its body flew out from the hill and landed in front of the battle team. The grasshopper demon said coldly, "Demon King Imosa, our 2 races are in the middle of a war. What are you doing here at my foundation hall? Don't think that just because my great sage tolerated you, he was weak. Last time, when the Swift Cherry Great Sage came, my great sage made it clear that your thoughts were nothing more than delusions. Since you want to fight, then let's fight. But if you keep challenging my great sage's bottom line, then don't blame my great sage for being ruthless and not giving him any face." "Ha!" Demon King Imosa laughed loudly. "This great sage has nothing to do with me. Have your great sage come out. My Tsong Yuan realm and the Hua Tian realm have been fighting for so many years, I'm tired of it. I just want to ask him one thing. You're just a demon king. What qualifications do you have to ask my great sage to come out?" The grasshopper demon replied indifferently, "If the great sage comes, then that's more like it." What? Demon King Imosa was enraged when he heard the grasshopper demon general mention the Nuo Xian supreme sage. He shouted, "I will kill all of you first. Let's see if Minghua comes out or not." With that, Demon Monarch Masa's golden figure flickered and his thick claws slapped out. Several golden sword-like rays of light completely enveloped the demon ant general. The grasshopper fiend general hadn't expected fiend Monarch Masa to dare make a move in Foundation Palace. He was shocked. He wasn't as strong as Monarch Masa to begin with, so there was no way he could dodge. Just as the grasshopper fiend general was about to be smashed to death by fiend King Imosa, a finger suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Although the finger was pointing at the air, both Fiend King Imosa and the Grasshopper Fiend General were imprisoned. The sword-like golden light was also annihilated. Xiaohua opened his mouth and said, "I am Xiaohua, the great sage of the human race. Go, call your great sage Minghua over." Along with Xiaohua's voice, the Grasshopper Demon General's spatial imprisonment disappeared. Demon King Masa's eyes clearly showed a kind of surprise. He knew that Xiaohua's divine arts were powerful, but he didn't expect Xiaohua's divine arts to have reached such an unfathomable level. The great sage of the human race? The Grasshopper Demon General had clearly never heard of Xiaohua's name and cried out in surprise. "Damn it!" Demon King Masa said coldly, "This is the human great sage who killed the Great Ape King and the Rainbow Lion King. Why don't you hurry up and call Heavenly King Hua out? If the great sage of the human race is angered, he will still take Heavenly King Hua's head." The Grasshopper Demon General turned pale with fright. Although he didn't know whether this news was true or false, he didn't think that Demon King Masa would use the lives of the Great Ape King and the Rainbow Lion King to joke with him. He hurriedly flew back and whispered a few words to the Demon Generals, then said in a panic, "Please wait a moment, Great Sage of the human race. This little one will call my great sage over to facing a fiend who could kill 2 great sages." The Grasshopper Demon General didn't dare to be careless. He hurriedly brought the group of demon generals back to the dune-shaped Foundation Palace. Xiaohua looked at the foundation palace that covered the entire desert and frowned slightly. Because there weren't any overly powerful auras in this desert, Minghua's doppelganger didn't seem to exist at all. Sure enough, after half a meal, the grasshopper demon general flew over alone with a sad face and begged, "Great sage, this little one isn't lying to you. Just now, my great sage was still in the foundation palace, but now, there's no trace of him." Xiaohua said amiably, "This has nothing to do with you. Heavenly King Hua might have misunderstood. This old man is an old acquaintance of his, and I'm not here to find trouble with him." As he spoke, Xiaohua raised his voice and said, "Heavenly King Hua, I am Xiaohua of the human race. I came here today because I have an extremely important matter to discuss with you. I know. You have some misgivings right now, and you're afraid that I will see through something. However, I came to see you precisely because I don't want this flaw of yours to be seen through by the other great sages. You must trust one and don't let I use force. That way, it won't be fun." When Demon King Masa heard this, he was even more curious. Although he didn't understand what Xiaohua was talking about, he already understood that Heavenly King Hua Minghua didn't want to see him because he had some other unspeakable troubles. And these unspeakable troubles were a taboo for Heavenly King Hua. He was afraid that he really had misunderstood Heavenly King Hua. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, Minghua's figure didn't appear in the entire desert. This wasn't out of Xiaohua's expectations. He smiled and said, "All right, since that's the case, don't blame this old man for not showing mercy. Heavenly King Hua, you aren't the real Minghua right now. You're just a clone of Heavenly King Hua. This old man came here today to tell you where Minghua's main body is. If you know what's good for you, come out now. This old man will tell you the truth." "What?" Demon King Masa was stunned. He said in shock, "Human race great sage, you're saying? The current Heavenly King Hua is his clone? No wonder he didn't dare to see me. However, then where did his main body go?" Naturally he's with your empress." Huang Tong sneered from the side. "Damn it." Demon Monarch Masa let out a furious roar and immediately came to his senses. The possibility of this happening was simply too great. "Damn it, this old man lied to you." Huang Tong scolded him. "This old man doesn't even know who Minghua is, and I don't know who your empress is. You believe everything I say." "Yes." Demon King Masa was quite tactful in front of the great sage of the Phoenix race. He didn't dare to say anything. This time, it was out of Xiaohua's expectations. After a full meal, no demons flew out. "Fellow Taoist Xiao." Huang Tong smiled. "Looks like this Heavenly King Hua still doesn't trust you enough. He doesn't want to see you. Right now, it's not a matter of whether he believes me or not, and it's not a matter of whether he wants to see me or not." Xiaohua was a bit unhappy. After all, he had said everything he could say. He even used "I" to vaguely point out his relationship with Minghua's main body. But at this point, Minghua's clone still didn't come out to meet him. Xiaohua couldn't possibly tell him everything, right? Since it was Minghua's clone and not Minghua's ancestor, there was no need to be especially polite. Xiaohua said proudly, "Right now, it's a matter of me wanting to see him." While speaking, Xiaohua looked up at the sky and said, "Fellow Taoists, can you come with me to see this Heavenly King Hua?" Of course." Before Xiaohua's voice faded, Feng Wu and Reverend Yun flew down from the sky. The Great Sage of the Phoenix and Great Sage of the Dragon Clan released their auras without concealing anything. A pressure comparable to a storm rolled over. Not only the demons of the Hua Tian realm fell into the sand, but even Demon King Masa's body shrank rapidly under the pressure. He didn't dare to resist at all. "Oh my!" Demon King Masa stuck out his tongue. He looked at Reverend Yun's dragon body and then at the little white dragon's body. He thought to himself, "So this unknown demon is from the Dragon Clan. Looks like the Dragon Clan and this great sage of the Dragon Clan have some relationship. Fortunately, I didn't offend him just now." Demon King Masa quickly stabilized his body and wanted to go forward to greet him. However, Feng Wu and Reverend Yun rolled up their bodies and flew tens of thousands of miles away in an instant. Xiaohua looked at Huang Tong and also flew tens of thousands of miles away in another direction. After that, the four of them stood still and released their consciousness at the same time. Like the great array of the 9 provinces, they covered the surrounding space. After a while, Xiaohua smiled and said loudly, "Heavenly King Hua," at this time. "You still don't want to come out and meet me?" Roar. Reverend Yun let out a dragon roar and spat out a dragon breath that reached tens of thousands of feet high in the air. At the space where the dragon breath was, a series of cracks appeared like glass. When the dragon breath rushed into these cracks, a green light ball flew out from the space crack. This green light ball landed in the air and immediately turned into an extremely beautiful human woman. Xiaohua sucked in a breath of cold air. His eyes flashed with puzzlement. He quickly asked in his mind, "Phoenix Sage, what did Ming Hua look like?" It's similar to what you think. In my eyes, this Ming Hua is a graceful phoenix, much more luxurious than the colorful Phoenix King." Feng Wu answered. However, just as Feng Wu's voice fell, the light ball flashed with 9 colors again. Light and shadow flashed, and the beautiful woman in Xiaohua's eyes turned into a handsome man again. Xiaohua sneered. His body swayed, but he didn't go near Ming Hua's clone. Instead, he landed beside the little white dragon and asked, "Little White, is this Ming Hua?" Chapter 48:26. Yes, this is Heavenly King Hua. Little White Dragon was clearly frightened by Ming Hua's appearance. He hurriedly answered, "I've seen him before, and this aura is Heavenly King Hua's." Little White Dragon dared not delay. Although he knew it was Ming Hua's clone, he still flew over and bowed. "Greetings, Heavenly King Hua." "You are?" Ming Hua's clone obviously did not remember Ming Hua. He asked hesitantly. Little White Dragon was about to answer when Xiaohua stopped him and said, "Little White, don't be hasty. He is just Ming Hua's clone. How could he know you? You can tell him after I tell him the whereabouts of Ming Hua's true body." Little White Dragon did not understand why Xiaohua would do that, but he still smiled at Ming Hua's clone and flew to Xiaohua's side. Before he could stop, Shui Yu's eyes flashed with surprise. She whispered, "Ming Hua's? Is this the famous Heavenly King Hua? Why does he look like a member of the Python clan? Since when did the Python clan have a great saint?" Little White Dragon was stunned. He looked at Ming Hua's clone curiously, then at Shui Yu and answered, "How could Heavenly King Hua be a member of the Python clan? He is clearly." There is a saying in the human race that one's appearance is born from one's heart. This is one of Heavenly King Hua's divine abilities. He can hide his true appearance. If you look with your own eyes, you may see the appearance you want to see. Xiaohua explained patiently. The light figure seemed to be embarrassed. As Huang Tong, Feng Wu and Reverend Yun approached, he had to move closer to Foundation Palace where Xiaohua was. Xiaohua looked at the light figure and said with a smile, "Heavenly King Hua, although you are just a clone now, you are still a part of Heavenly King Hua. You have karma with me. You don't have to be afraid. I'm here to bring you good news." Xiaohua, the great saint of the human race. Ming Hua's clone said with a clear voice, "I don't know what you are talking about. I am in my true body now. How can I have a clone?" "Is that so?" Xiaohua said unhurriedly, "Since you are in your true body, why is your strength weaker than that of a sun expert?" "That's because I was previously injured. Although I've recovered after going into seclusion, my cultivation level has dropped a little." When Ming Hua's doppelgangers saw that he was being surrounded by several great saints, he was no longer in a hurry. "Also, Archfiend Masa, what you heard is just a rumor. There were some demon spirits who wanted to provoke a war between the Huatian realm and the Zhongyuan realm. These demon spirits are this sage's enemies. They want to use you to find out the truth about this sage. This is the reason why this sage tolerated you again and again and didn't go to your Emosa palace to attend the banquet. Do you think I will believe you?" Seeing that Heavenly King Hua did not even have the strength of a sun expert, how could Demon King Emosa be afraid of him? He replied coldly, "Unless you want me to turn the entire Huatian realm upside down." "That's impossible." Ming Hua's doppelganger continued calmly, "Besides, I'll be frank with you. While I'm no match for a great sage of the human race, when it comes to you. Hee hee. Then let's give it a try. Demon King Moss's figure flickered as he flew closer. Little toad, stand aside. Reverend Yun sneered. As expected, Demon King Imosa shrunk his neck and did not dare to move. Heavenly King Hua's strength may not be enough now, but it doesn't mean it won't be in the future. Xiao Hua smiled as he took out Ming Hua's main body and handed it to his doppelganger. This is a token that I obtained by accident. It contains information about the location of Ming Hua's main body. I have no use for it, so I'll return it to you. You just need to go there and find Ming Hua's main body. Then you will be able to recover. Little White Dragon did not understand why Xiao Hua said that. However, when he saw that Ming Hua's doppelganger did not seem to be particularly excited, and that Ming Hua's main body did not move even when he approached Ming Hua's doppelganger, he seemed to understand something. Sure enough, Ming Hua's doppelganger waved his hand and a beam of light fell. It was the black and white conch that had lost its 7 colors. He smiled and said, "Thank you, great sage of the human race." Xiao Hua suddenly froze. He raised his hand and blocked the black and white conch. He said embarrassedly, "I'm sorry, Heavenly King Hua. I made a mistake. This is not that token. This is..." As he spoke, Xiao Hua hurriedly took out a tricolored triangular object. It looked similar to the black and white conch. Only after Xiao Hua replaced the triangular object with the black and white conch did he retract his hand. Thank you, great sage of the human race." Although Ming Hua's doppelganger was a little surprised, he still took the triangular object and nodded. "When this great sage recovers..." Without waiting for Ming Hua's doppelganger to finish speaking, Huang Tong laughed coldly. "Ming Hua's main body is in your hands. You don't even know. How can you be Ming Hua's doppelganger? You took that useless object. How can you recover your cultivation?" The light and shadow shook as a strange fluctuation suddenly rushed out from the light and shadow. The 9 colors of the light and shadow seemed to be washed away by the rain as it rapidly faded away. That Demon King Mossa was greatly alarmed. He hastily tried to stop him, but Xiao Hua confidently opened his mouth. A breath of clear air fell, and like a brush, light and shadow once again appeared from the indescribable void. Moreover, this time was different from the previous time. After the light appeared, it immediately disappeared and a fox several hundred feet long appeared in front of everyone. Wasn't this the great demon that Xiao Hua entered from the edge of the legacy world after taking the 10,000 spirits' sacred blood? Unfortunately, Xiao Hua had never seen this fox before. He didn't know what happened in the legacy world after he left. Although Little White Dragon was prepared, after seeing the fox, he couldn't help but cry out, "Ah? What kind of demon are you? You dare to impersonate Heavenly King Hua. Do you not want to live anymore? Whether this old man lives or dies is my business." Seeing that he was exposed, the fox wasn't nervous at all. He calmly glanced at Little White Dragon and then at Xiao Hua and said, "Human race great sage, this old man has just heard of your name. I've also heard of the names of Phoenix Sage and Dragon Sage beside you. You aren't great sages of the 10,000 demon realm, so you don't know the secrets and dangers here. Let this old man give you a piece of advice. Especially great ascension stage humans, this matter isn't something you can participate in. Today's matter. You only need to kill all the demon spirits who know about it, and this old man. And the power behind this old man will pretend that nothing happened." Hee hee, are you threatening the Xiao? Xiao Hua didn't put away the dark mantra's body. Instead, he rolled it between his fingers and looked at the fox with interest. The fox's figure shook slightly and turned into the appearance of an old man. He smiled and said, "It's not a threat. After all, this old man doesn't have the power to threaten a great sage. However, since great sages are great sages of the human race, you must know what realm comes after great sages." At this point, the fox abruptly stopped speaking and didn't say another word. Xiao Hua stared at the old man as if he wanted to see if the fox was telling the truth, but he suddenly said, "You're talking about Snow Wolf King, aren't you?" The fox was naturally a fox, so how could it blurt out the name like a human? However, when he heard the 3 words Snow Wolf King, the expression in his eyes slightly changed. It was only this slight change that caused Xiaohua to smile. Big brother. Before Xiaohua could say anything, Shuiyu spoke up, "Can I see this strange conch?" Of course. Facing the cunning fox, Xiaohua's attention was focused on the fox's expression. When he heard Hu Yu's voice, he naturally agreed and handed the black and white conch to Hu Yu. The fox's heart trembled when Xiaohua saw through its expression, and it asked tentatively, "Could it be that you're also that?" However, Xiaohua didn't answer the fox. Instead, he reached out with his hand, and with a flash of golden light, a large hand blocked the other side. At this moment, Shui Yu's python body strangely extended a claw. Although the claw was faster than lightning and wanted to grab the black and white conch, and Shui Yu's python body showed signs of collapsing as the claw approached the conch, Shui Yu's claw was immediately blocked by Xiaohua's large golden hand, and even Shui Yu's mutated python body froze there. Xiaohua looked at Shui Yu and asked with a smile, "You want it? Heavenly King Hua, if you want it, just say it. If you don't say it, how would I know you want it? Although you're looking at me with sincerity, you still have to tell me what you want. Do you really want it? Then you can have it. You don't really want it, do you? Do you really want it? Actually, it's yours. You told me seriously, so how could I not give it to you? However, you asked me in a roundabout way, and you made me confused. How could I give it to you?" "What? She's Heavenly King Hua?" Little White Dragon's dragon scales stood up like hair. He didn't dare to believe Xiaohua's words, and he didn't dare to believe his own eyes. In fact, he didn't dare to believe that he and Heavenly King Hua had been doing whatever they wanted in the deep pool. "Impossible, impossible." Little White Dragon hurriedly shook his muddy brain and asserted, "If she's Heavenly King Hua, how could she have almost been killed by the eagle tribe? How could she? Nothing is impossible." Xiaohua looked at Little White Dragon's panic, and a trace of strangeness appeared in his heart. He looked at Shui Yu and said, "The secret of Heavenly King Hua's true body. We don't know. It's also possible that he's a hermaphrodite. Furthermore, the Shui Yu in front of you is Heavenly King Hua's clone. Whether she's a male or a female, it doesn't matter." Chapter 48:27. Damn it. Little White Dragon used its dragon claws to grab its own dragon head and curled up in regret, as if it had done something extremely bad. Hu Yu didn't say anything, only looking at Xiaohua indifferently. Only now did she speak. "Xiaohua, how did you know? I didn't seem to have revealed any flaws, did I?" "Heavenly King Hua, you seem to be too confident?" Xiaohua rubbed his nose and smiled. Just based on the fact that Little White Dragon fainted at here, Xiaohua stopped and looked at Demon King Mo. "Demon King Mo, do you see? Heavenly King Hua's main body left the 10,000 demon realm many years ago, his clone. I'll tell you, it just woke up. Do you think the matter between the Empress and Heavenly King Hua is real or fake?" This Demon King Mo was in a dilemma. Not to mention whether the matter between Heavenly King Hua and Xian Wan was real, just the fact that Heavenly King Hua had become a female python meant he couldn't pursue this matter. Hu Yu coldly looked at Demon King Mo and said, "Demon King Mo, right now I'm not Heavenly King Hua. I don't know what Heavenly King Hua did. These things can only be known after I obtain Heavenly King Hua's main body. However, you offended my Hua Tian realm and slandered this king. You can wait at the place where the armies of Tsang Yuan realm and Hua Tian realm are fighting. Once I obtain the main body, I'll immediately kill you." Good. Demon King Emosa's eyes also showed ruthlessness. "I'm not afraid of a cowardly great saint like you." With that, Demon King Emosa flew away on his demon cloud. "Fox." Xiaohua exposed Hu Yu's true face and looked up at the fox. "What did you just say? How could the old fox admit it?" He shook his head. "I didn't say anything." "Looks like you won't give up until you hit the wall." Xiaohua said coldly, "This old man can tell you, Snow Wolf King has been killed by this old man." "How is that possible?" The fox sucked in a breath of cold air and cried out in alarm. However, before his voice could land, his expression changed drastically again. A 9-colored brilliance immediately surged out from his body, and the phantom of a 9-tailed fox appeared once again within the brilliance. Xiaohua waved his hand, and the power of thunders sealed the space around them. Even if the nine-tailed fox charged a secret technique of Qingxiu Mountain, it could not move half an inch. Nine-tailed fox was even more surprised to see that a human great sage could see through her secret art. I don't have time to waste on you right now. Xiaohua grabbed the nine-tailed fox with his big hand and said, think about it carefully. When this old man asks you, then tell this old man the truth. While speaking, Xiaohua pretended to take out a universe bracelet. With a sweep of his mind, the nine-tailed fox was taken into his space. All right. Xiaohua looked around and smiled. Heavenly King Hua, now that there's no one around, we can have a good talk. Big brother, don't rush. Little White Dragon said with a sad face. Can you let me ask first? Of course. Xiaohua knew Little White Dragon's complicated feelings and replied with a smile. Little White Dragon asked, when did you become Heavenly King Hua's clone? Hu Yu glanced at Little White Dragon as if she was annoyed. She did not want to answer, but seeing Xiaohua's gaze, she still said half-heartedly, it was after you met Heavenly King Hua. He wanted to take you on a trip and happened to meet me. It was also a spur-of-the-moment decision. When I met Heavenly King Hua's python body, it was also you. Little White Dragon seemed to understand something and asked. Of course. Hu Yu frowned. That's all in the past. Why ask so much? Also, I can tell you that this clone of mine is different from ordinary cloning techniques. Heavenly King Hua only split half of his primordial spirit and sealed it in this python body. If Heavenly King Hua's true body was not here, this primordial spirit would naturally take over Hu Yu's python body, and Hu Yu would become the real Heavenly King Hua. If Heavenly King Hua's true body was here, Hu Yu's python body would naturally not be needed. Right now, Hu Yu's consciousness is temporarily suppressed by my consciousness. When my primordial spirit returns to Heavenly King Hua's true body, I will naturally return your Hu Yu to you. Of course, if too much time passes, whether your Hu Yu can return or not is not up to me to decide. How could Little White Dragon not hear the threat from Heavenly King Hua's clone? Since he knew that it was not Heavenly King Hua but the real Hu Yu, he was at ease. He glanced at Heavenly King Hua and was about to reply coldly. However, the moment he opened his mouth, his heart skipped a beat. He smiled and said, don't worry. Hu Yu is my beloved concubine, and you are Heavenly King Hua. I am also indebted to you. How can I not plead for you? As he spoke, Xiaohua winked at Xiaohua and said, don't you think so, big brother? Of course. Xiaohua nodded. Heavenly King Hua is indebted to Little White Dragon. Heavenly King Hua's legacy on Dawn Rain Continent is also indebted to me. How can I not revive Heavenly King Hua? Then why did you stop me? Heavenly King Hua asked coldly. His tone was completely different from Hu Yu's. It's very simple. Xiaohua shrugged and said, Heavenly King Hua was originally kind to Little White Dragon, but he set up a restriction in Little White Dragon's mind, wanting to kill Little White Dragon. If it wasn't for Little White Dragon's good luck, it would have already become a corpse by now. I also fell into the spatial trap set up by Heavenly King Hua. If I was not lucky, I would not have the chance to stand in front of you. Thus, Heavenly King Hua's kindness to me no longer exists. Since the kindness no longer exists, why should I give you his main body? Xiaohua said with a smile. Heavenly King Hua's clone was not to be trifled with. He looked at his main body and said calmly, Xiaohua, what conditions do you have? As long as I can agree, I will agree. I don't need any conditions. Xiaohua replied. I just want to know some things. I also want you to make some promises. Heavenly King Hua's clone shook his head and said, I am only half of Ming Hua's primordial spirit. There are many things about him that I do not know. I cannot promise you now. There is no need to talk about the past now. Xiaohua already knew that Heavenly King Hua would say this. He continued, you just need to promise me the future. This is not a problem, right? When you get the main body, Heavenly King Hua will know, right? Alright. Heavenly King Hua did not even think and replied, tell me. I want you to make a demon oath. You, your main body, and even your other clones have to promise me a few things. Xiaohua said word by word. First, you have to protect the little white dragon and the Gale Abyss to the best of your ability. Alright. Heavenly King Hua's clone nodded. Since Heavenly King Hua used Shuiyu as his clone, he will naturally agree to protect the Gale Abyss. Second, you have to protect the demons, humans, and dragons that came from the 3 continents to the 10,000 demon realm. You cannot reveal their whereabouts. Heavenly King Hua's clone shook his head. I am just a great sage from the spirit tribe. I cannot fight against the other great sages. If they want to kill me, I cannot stop them. Heavenly King Hua's clone shook his head. Actually, there are also descendants of the Rainbow Sea God Shell among them. They are also descendants of your Shell clan. Of course, you don't understand now. You will understand when you get your main body. Xiaohua explained. Even if you cannot stop them, you have to protect them with all your might. Alright. Heavenly King Hua's clone nodded helplessly. Xiaohua smiled and said, you have to promise that everything you tell me after you get your main body and regain your memories and strength is the truth. You are not asking for 3 things. Heavenly King Hua's clone said angrily. It doesn't matter. Xiaohua shrugged and smiled slyly. I just want to ask you some questions. I am not going to eat your flesh or drink your blood. Besides, I brought your main body to the 10,000 demon realm. I am your main body's benefactor. Once you recover, you will understand why. All right. Heavenly King Hua's clone nodded. I promise. After that, Heavenly King Hua's clone made a demon oath. Countless strange threads fell like a spider web and entered Shuiyu's body. Are you relieved now? Heavenly King Hua said angrily. This seems to be the first time Heavenly King Hua has been forced to make a demon oath. If you want to gain something, you will naturally lose something. Xiaohua replied calmly and handed the black and white conch to Shuiyu. This time, Shuiyu did not rush to take it. Instead, she looked at the black and white conch and frowned. If my memory is correct, Heavenly King Hua's main body shouldn't be like this. But why do I know that this is Heavenly King Hua's main body? You will have to ask the Rainbow Sea God Shell about this. Xiaohua did not answer Heavenly King Hua's clone directly. But Heavenly King Hua's clone could not resist the temptation of his main body. He raised his hand and took it. Just like before, when Heavenly King Hua's tentacles came into contact with the black and white conch, Shuiyu's python body collapsed again. At the same time, there was a loud boom in the sky. Waves of watery light seeped out of the void and rushed into the conch and Shuiyu's python body. When the watery light entered the conch, the sound of crashing waves rose into the sky. A black and white light screen that was more than 10,000 feet wide appeared amidst the sound, covering the entire area. A familiar aura of a barrier that Xiaohua was familiar with seeped out from within. However, this aura quickly retracted. The black and white light screen also shrunk and finally condensed together. As the curtain of light shrunk, the conch shell began to spin mysteriously. More and more water turned into water lines that fell onto the surface of the conch shell. The conch shell's shadow began to expand and gradually covered the conch shell's main body. Give it a recommendation vote, bookmark it, or tip it. Thank you for all your support. Chapter 4828. At this point, Yu's body had already sunk to a certain extent. She stopped and let out a painful hiss. Starting from her tail, a streak of blood slowly flowed out and rushed towards her head. After the time it took to finish a meal, the blood finally gathered at Yu's head. Her originally snow-white head was now blood-red. Xiaohua narrowed his eyes as he watched. He knew that Heavenly King Hua's clone was using the external incarnation technique to draw out Yu's essence blood. The clone's primordial spirit could also use this essence blood to successfully return to the original body that had undergone the divine punishment. Whoosh! As expected, a conch-shaped blood shadow gathered at the center of Yu's brows. Then, like lightning, it rushed into the light shadow that had already condensed to a size of 1,000 feet. Although it was only for an instant, the blood shadow still trembled in midair. It even looked towards where Huang Tong was standing. Huang Tong's aura made the blood shadow's primordial spirit, which had left its physical body, very afraid. Heavenly King Hua's primordial spirit left Yu's body. Hu Yu's body fell from midair again. Little White Dragon, who had been waiting by the side, immediately rushed out and caught Hu Yu's body. Bang bang bang. The blood-colored Yuan spirit landed in the conch illusory figure. Instantly, a couple of water-blue thunderbolts intertwined and fell from the sky. Ha! An obscure low roar came from the shadow, and then a powerful aura began to rush out from the shadow, spreading in all directions towards the Hua Tian realm. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the illusory figure solidified. However, the dark mantra didn't transform. Instead, Conch's body appeared first. However, after the black and white light dissipated, a handsome young man from the human clan stood in midair. Great Sage Minghua. Little White Dragon seemed to have just woken up. He hurriedly hugged the unconscious Hu Yu and bowed to the young man. Are you really awake? Sigh, Hu Han, you've finally cultivated into a dragon. Minghua sighed. He looked at Little White Dragon's body and sighed. The heavens reward those who persevere. Your hard work has indeed moved the heavens. Junior would also like to thank the great sage for his guidance. The Little White Dragon was somewhat similar to Xiaohua's gratitude, and hurriedly replied respectfully. Minghua glanced at Little White Dragon and said to Xiaohua, there are a few secret restrictions in Lin Han's soul that have not been removed yet. I need to help him remove them. Sure. Xiaohua nodded. Then Minghua raised his hand and a few rays of black and white light appeared. The light formed a butterfly-like knot in the air and slowly landed on the Little White Dragon's head. Roar! The Little White Dragon roared in pain and its body fell to the ground. Xiaohua had already released his divine sense and knew that Minghua had done the right thing, so he nodded at Feng Wu. Feng Wu waved her phoenix claws and caught Little White Dragon and Shuiyu. Heavenly King Hua. Xiaohua looked at Minghua and said, although I said earlier that we're even now, this Xiaohua didn't say anything. However, what you've done is actually all part of your defense, and it's not targeted at this Xiao. Moreover, the orthodoxy you left behind in the Dawn Rain continent is indeed where this Xiaohua once lived. This Xiaohua still has to thank Heavenly King Hua. This Xiaohua now greets the ancestor as a disciple of Shang Hua Ming. As he spoke, Xiaohua respectfully bowed towards Minghua. Minghua knew that this was Xiaohua settling the karma with him, so he didn't stop him and accepted it. Then he raised his hand and said, Great Sage Xiao, Shang Hua Ming was just something I did casually in the Dawn Rain continent. To put it bluntly, it was also where I imprisoned Little White Dragon. You don't have to care too much about it. From now on, Shang Hua Ming has nothing to do with me. You don't have to mention Shang Hua Ming anymore. Xiaohua smiled and said, It's best that Heavenly King Hua thinks this way. This Xiaohua also doesn't want the famous Shang Hua Ming to have a demon spirit ancestor. Although Xiaohua was smiling, how could Minghua not understand the meaning behind Xiaohua's words? He lightly nodded and didn't mention this matter again. Instead, he asked, Of course, your thoughts are also my thoughts. There's no need to say it out loud. Also, you've said it clearly before. You saved me from a hopeless situation, so we've written off our previous kindness. You and I don't owe each other anything. Shang Hua Ming. Even if you were the ancestor, with your current cultivation, it's more than enough. Didn't the human race say that history is always the victory song of the victors? Do as you see fit. Speaking of Shang Hua Ming, Xiaohua naturally thought of some of the previous secrets. He thought for a moment and asked, What about Shang Hua Ming's seniors other than Heavenly King Hua? There doesn't seem to be any records in the ancestral hall. Heavenly King Hua frowned slightly and then said, They naturally entered the cycle of reincarnation. You forced my avatar to swear a demon oath? You want to ask this? Seeing Heavenly King Hua like this, Xiaohua somewhat understood. Heavenly King Hua probably didn't want his whereabouts to be left behind in Yellow Flower Ridge, so he deliberately did some tricks. Of course not, these are just some of the doubts in my heart. Today, I want to ask about the spatial passage from the 10,000 demon realm to the Dawn Rain continent. Xiaohua said seriously, I hope Heavenly King Hua can answer truthfully. Oh? You want to know this? Heavenly King Hua frowned and asked curiously, You caused such a big commotion, just to know about the spatial passage from the 10,000 demon realm to the Dawn Rain continent? Xiao Hua answered, "This is very important to me, to the rainbow sea god Xiao. Bei Xian, or is she also in the Dawn Rain continent? Why can't I find her?" Heavenly King Hua was even more confused and asked back. Bei Xian, or is not in the Dawn Rain continent. Xiao Hua shook his head. She's in the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm. In order to make Bei Ming tell him everything, and even want Bei Ming to love Bei Xian, or because of her, Xiao Hua patiently told him everything about the 4 great continents. In the end, he said, "I just want to head to the Dawn Rain continent and destroy this immortal formation so that I can save the billions of lives in the 3 continents, including Bei Xian." Heavenly King Hua didn't seem to care about Bei Xian's life and death. He thought for a moment and shook his head. "Great Sage Xiao, I'm sure you know that the memory I sealed in Jianghu's soul is actually fake. That spatial passage is just a trap. The spatial passage to the Dawn Rain continent doesn't exist at all." Seeing Heavenly King Hua's coldness, Xiao Hua's heart suddenly went cold. He seemed to have realized that he might be wrong. Bei Ming went to the Dawn Rain continent to find Bei Xian, or it might not be because he wanted to find a descendant of the Shell race, it might not be because of kinship, or even this Bei Ming might be even more cold-blooded than Bei Xian. It was possible that he went to kill Bei Xian. After all, in order to hide his true body, he took so many precautions in the Thousand Demon Realm. Now that he heard that the 3 continents were going to be destroyed and Bei Xian, or couldn't have survived, wasn't this exactly what he wanted? However, this was only Xiao Hua's guess. Xiao Hua didn't dare to take it seriously. He stopped guessing and asked in shock, "How is that possible? Didn't you go to the Dawn Rain continent through the spatial passage back then?" "It was purely a coincidence that I went to the Dawn Rain continent." Heavenly King Hua had already made a demon oath. When he heard Xiao Hua asking something that he didn't think was important, he answered without worry, "That day when I was cultivating the dragon transformation art encountered some problems, so I took Lin Han out to train. Because I wanted to refine my body, I chose the Origin Paradise. There were many chaotic spatial laws there. There were also extraterritorial hurricanes and even meteorites left behind by the outer realm. It was a good place to cultivate the dragon transformation art. However, when I was cultivating, I encountered a realm storm. Several spatial rifts suddenly appeared around me. These spatial rifts were very powerful and I couldn't escape with my ability. Therefore, I chose a spatial rift with weaker spatial laws to enter." Speaking of this, Heavenly King Hua shrugged his shoulders and said with a helpless expression, "When I passed through the realm barrier, I fainted. When I woke up, I was already at Yellow Flower Ridge. You also crossed realms and should know the impact of the laws of heaven and earth on the physical body. I rested for more than 10 years before I recovered. Then I discovered that my cultivation was suppressed in the Dawn Rain continent. Moreover, the strange laws prevented me from using my divine arts. In order to explore the laws of heaven and earth of the Dawn Rain continent, I created Shang Hua Ming. However, after taking in a few disciples, I discovered that the physical body of the human race was completely different from that of the demon race. I was afraid that it would be difficult to compare and refer to, so I had to think of another way later. I heard that there was an immortal island overseas and there might be some celestial race there. They should be similar to my demon race, so I went to the Kuai-He Sea. In the end, I was unlucky and encountered a powerful tsunami. I couldn't escape the suction of the seabed. After Heavenly King Hua finished speaking, Xiao Hua was filled with emotions. He had indeed thought of this Shang Hua Ming ancestor who he had never seen before as too perfect. Everything was just a coincidence. It wasn't driven by familial love or deep blood ties. "Forget it," Xiao Hua sighed and asked again, "Then do you know of other passageways to the Dawn Rain continent?" Heavenly King Hua thought for a moment and shook his head. "Sorry, Xiao Hua, I really don't know. My origin I'm sure you already know. I'm not familiar with the other great sages in the 10,000 demon realm, so I can't help you much. Of course, since I went to the Dawn Rain continent from the Origin Grotto Heaven, you can give it a try. The problem is that space crack is too occasional, and it may lead to other realms. I'm already in the 10,000 demon realm, so I don't want to cause any more trouble." Xiao Hua smiled bitterly. "Xiao Hua, do you have any other questions?" Heavenly King Hua asked. Xiao Hua shook his head. Not at the moment. If there are any in the future, please answer truthfully like Heavenly King Hua. That's not a problem. Heavenly King Hua was also straightforward. After agreeing, he asked, "Then I also have a few questions to ask you?" Chapter 48:29. Xiaohua looked at Heavenly King Huatian and smiled. "Actually, I know what you want to ask. First, I brought the sea god statue from Shanghuaming to the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm. However, when I fought with Bei Xian, it turned to dust." Heavenly King Huatian's expression turned strange when he heard that. He seemed to be glad, but Xiaohua could not tell what it was. As for your sea god's bloodline, Xiaohua didn't elaborate further and only mentioned it briefly. "It's best if you ask Bei Xian. Of course, if I can't return to the Dawn Rain continent and break that immortal formation, I'll be able to help you. I'm afraid you won't be able to see her again." "No." Heavenly King Huadan smiled and said, "You're thinking too much. I just want to ask you, how did you get through that? That was a time array. Even a great saint of the demon race could not get through it. You're just a human great saint. How did you do it?" However, Heavenly King Huan glanced at Huang Tong and the other great saints of the demon race. "Alright, since you've guessed it, I don't have to hide it." Xiaohua smiled. "Actually, the one who really saved you was Phoenix, saint of the Phoenix race. He used the space laws to resist the time laws. After paying the price of a lot of lifespan, we were lucky to escape." That Xiaohua already knew that Bei Ming would ask about this. He had already thought of a plan. With just a few words, he used the space laws to resist the time laws. It was mysterious and did not need to be explained in detail. Besides, Huang Tong was Xiaohua's clone. He was no different from Xiaohua. He did not lie to Heavenly King Huatian. Heavenly King Huatian frowned and thought. It looked like he believed it. Indeed, after a while, Heavenly King Huanan cupped his hands at Huang Tong. "Phoenix Saint's understanding of the space laws is admirable. That day, I also used the space powers. However, I could only seal myself. I could not break through the time barrier. I was lucky. Huang Tong smiled insincerely. He was not interested in Heavenly King Huan. Also, Heavenly King Huan hesitated and asked, "Can you leave that old fox to me? He dared to impersonate me. I have to skin him and make a robe." "Sorry." Xiaohua shook his head. "This guy is more important to me." "How is he more important to you?" Heavenly King Hua was confused. "If I'm not mistaken, this old fox should be a demon spirit from a lost clan in the 10,000 demon realm. He's not an ordinary fox. How do you know him?" Xiaohua smiled and said, "Forgive me for not being able to tell Heavenly King Hua about this. Of course, if I don't need it in the future, I'll skin him and give him to Heavenly King Hua." Heavenly King Hua nodded in understanding. As long as this bastard doesn't have a good ending. Since he dared to transform into this king's appearance, how can I not teach him a lesson? At this point, Xiaohua had nothing else to ask. Other than disappointment, there was only bitterness in his heart. From the 3 continents to the 10,000 demon realm, and from there to the Dawn Rain continent, it sounded very simple. However, it was difficult to actually do it. Previously, going from the 3 continents to the 10,000 demon realm should have been the most difficult. However, because of Huang Tong's appearance and the existence of that immature world, Xiaohua finally arrived at the 10,000 demon realm. What he saw and did in the 10,000 demon realm had long exceeded Xiaohua's expectations. However, at this point in time, what seemed to be the easiest thing had become the most difficult thing. There was a spatial passage, but this spatial passage was accidental. When it would appear, and which world it would lead to, no one could guarantee. Before he could confirm that it was the Dawn Rain continent, Xiaohua would definitely not enter easily. Xiaohua no longer had the time to go to other worlds. "Xiaohua, if there's nothing else, I'll take my leave." Heavenly King Hua looked into the distance and said coldly, "Demon King Imo Sa actually sent troops to attack my Hua Tian realm. If I don't teach him a lesson, he won't know that Lord Ma has 3 eyes." It had been a long time since he heard a proverb from the human race. Hearing it from Heavenly King Hua now, it was rather familiar. However, after laughing a few times, his heart suddenly moved. "Heavenly King Hua, I'm a little curious. Who exactly is this Demon King Emosa's beloved concubine? Could it be that she's also a female toad? If that's the case, you really have to teach Demon King Emosa a lesson. He pushed a toad to you for no reason. How would I know? Heavenly King Hua glanced at Xiao Hua indifferently. He did not answer directly, but instead sneered. If it wasn't a demon spirit who saw through the old fox's trick, then it must be some great saint who wants to cause trouble for my Hua Tian realm. I'll slowly investigate this matter. Then Heavenly King Hua cupped his fist and said, "Farewell. I hope you can find the spatial passage to Dawn Rain Continent smoothly." "Thank you, Heavenly King Hua." Xiao Hua cupped his fist and returned the gesture. Woo-woo. Heavenly King Hua's figure moved, transforming into a gray streak of light that shot towards the place where Xiao Hua had come from. Not long after, rumbling sounds could be heard from afar as pillars of starlight and moonlight appeared in the distance. Heavenly King Hua had already made his move. This guy is a little like Jianghu. Huang Tong squinted at the chaotic heaven and earth energy in the distance and said softly, ruthless and merciless in his actions. He doesn't hesitate when dealing with emotions. Reverend Yun said, I have a feeling that Heavenly King Hua still has some secrets that he hasn't told us. These secrets might be useful to us. The problem is, we don't know what these secrets are, so we can't make him tell us. Xiao Hua smiled bitterly. I can at least say, Heavenly King Hua, can you tell us all your secrets? Ha, of course. Feng Wu smiled. Get the information we want within Heavenly King Hua's tolerance range. Don't touch his bottom line. After all, he has already made a demon oath to take care of the descendants from the 3 continents. And Gale Abyss. Xiao Hua looked down at the unconscious little white dragon and said, Bei Ming's divine power is even more unfathomable than Bei Xian's. Little white dragon's original body has already been killed, and he's only surviving on his soul essence. Bei Ming's seal is still effective in his soul essence. Even if he condenses his body with the dragon cleansing liquid, the seal is still his shackles. Just this point alone. The Red Sea Domain's royal family is definitely not simple. Little White Dragon's luck has finally come to an end. Huang Tong smiled. In the future, he'll become a famous existence in the 10,000 demon realm. Fellow Taoist, things have come to a dead end again. Reverend Yun asked, Are we going to the Origin Cave next? The Origin Cave is recorded in the World Sense. Xiao Hua took out the World Sense and looked at it, then handed it to Huang Tong and said, It's easy for us to go to the Origin Cave. But the difficult part is how to find the Dawn Rain mainland. Fellow Taoist, don't you have a sense of direction? Isn't that easy? Feng Wu smiled. Reverend Yun also said, Yes, others don't know the aura of the Dawn Rain mainland, but you don't? The problem is, Xiao Hua explained, if there's a spatial crack that leads to the Dawn Rain mainland in the same spatial crack that appears at the same time, we can naturally enter it. But what if there's no spatial crack? We won't have any chance to regret and can only choose an unknown realm to enter. We can't afford to gamble. Fellow Taoist, you seem to have a card up your sleeve. Huang Tong returned the world sense to Xiao Hua and asked with a smile. Xiao Hua nodded. That's right. We can't find any useful information on Heavenly King Hua, but there's another person. We can go and ask. Feng Wu asked curiously. Reverend Yun smiled. Who else? Of course, it's the Radiant Phoenix King. Phoenix Sage, now it's up to you to seduce this Radiant Phoenix King with your handsome face. Gosh. Feng Wu said with a distressed face, Fellow Taoist, you've overestimated me. This matter belongs to none other than Phoenix Sage. Don't look for me. Huang Tong said impatiently, I've been to the vast ocean, and there's no other cloud except for Mount Wu. Xiao Hua's face was full of black lines, and he said, Fellow Taoists, aren't you overthinking? I visited Divine Mother Peacock earlier. Oh, that's right, that's her. Hearing this, Huang Tong hurriedly shouted, Isn't the Kai family of the Dawn Rain mainland the descendants of Divine Mother Peacock? According to fellow Taoist, Fairy Hong Xia even obtained a peacock plume. Divine Mother Peacock must have been to the Dawn Rain mainland, and she must know where the spatial passage is. Not only that, Xiao Hua said thoughtfully, That day when we attacked the Great Ape King, Divine Mother Peacock once said that she saw that there was some karma between us. If there's time, she would invite us to the Peacock Palace for a chat. Could it be that her words are here? Divine Mother Peacock actually has a Buddhist cultivation base. This matter is really a great secret of the 10,000 demon realm. Feng Wu said cautiously, whether or not we can get the information of the spatial passage from her mouth, we should go to the Peacock Palace and prepare for the birth of Maitreya Buddha. However, before going to the Peacock Palace, we need to ask who the immortal body living in the Snow Wolf King's primordial spirit is. Xiaohua said while pinching his chin, that cunning old fox must know something. Not only that, Huang Tong said, this old fox actually knows the illusion technique of Qingqiu Mountain. If fellow Taoist was not proficient in this technique, how could you capture him so easily? This old fox might have some relationship with Wuxia. That's right. Xiaohua nodded. It's because I'm not sure what relationship he has with Wuxia that I don't know how to deal with him. Let's ask about the immortal body first. Taoist Yun suggested, let's wait until we reach the Dawn Rain mainland to save us the trouble of guessing. Then, Xiaohua brought Little White Dragon and Shuiyu back to the Gale Abyss, and waited for them to wake up before saying goodbye. Give it as a reward, and thank you for all your support. Chapter 48:30. Although it was a farewell, it was just Xiaohua tearing open the void above Gale Abyss and using the space escape technique to reach the sky. Then, Feng Wu, Huang Tong, and Reverend Yun each guarded a corner. Xiaohua pulled the fox out of the space. When he released the seal, the fox's eyes turned quickly, looking left and right, then became obedient again. You're a demon spirit of the Fox clan, right? Xiaohua looked at the fox's flashing eyes and asked in a deep voice. Yes, this lowly one is Hu Mao of the Fox clan. The old fox hurriedly answered with a very respectful expression. When he heard the old fox call himself Hu Mao, Xiaohua sneered in his heart, but he did not expose him. He asked, I'll be honest with you. Not only did I kill the Great Ape King and the Rainbow Lion King, I also killed the Snow Wolf King. Impossible! Hu Mao cried out in surprise. How could you kill the Snow Wolf King? Why didn't I hear any news? Because the place where I killed her was not in the spirit realm, so there was no news until now. Xiaohua said faintly, however, I feel that in your surprise. You still don't believe it. Because you think that with the protection of the human form, the Snow Wolf King would never be killed by other demons in the 10,000 demon realm? The words, immortal physique and human form, struck the cunning old fox. Hu Shao was stunned and his face was filled with fear. He couldn't say a single word. I'll tell you the same thing, that human form was also killed by me. Xiaohua's words did not stop until he was shocked to death. He continued, I spared your life because I want to ask you, who is that human form? What is his purpose in coming to the 10,000 demon realm? If Hu Qi had some doubts about Xiaohua before, then he was truly shocked at this moment. If Xiaohua had seen the humanoid immortal physique, then only one of them could survive. This was the most clear to him. Now that Xiaohua was alive and standing in front of him, then the human form must have been killed by Xiaohua. Just as Hu Qi was about to speak, he hesitated again. This was because he couldn't rule out the possibility that Xiaohua had already joined the human immortal body. He also couldn't rule out the possibility that the human immortal body was testing him. However, in the blink of an eye, Hu Qi couldn't help but laugh. Not to mention whether or not he was worthy of the human immortal body's test. If Xiaohua had relied on the human immortal body, how could he have been exposed? How could Hua Tian King still be alive? Hu Bo was naturally someone who could judge the situation. He smiled apologetically and said, I'll be honest with you, great sage. I'm just a small fry and can't compare to the great sage Snow Wolf King. If it weren't for the fact that I'm not famous and know some transformation techniques, that great sage wouldn't have taken a liking to me. Therefore, the one who gave orders to me was the Snow Wolf King. I've only met that lord once. Therefore, I have no idea who that person is and why he came to the 10,000 demon realm. The order I received was to transform into Heavenly King Hua's appearance in Hua Tian Realm's Foundation Hall. Why did you transform into Heavenly King Hua's appearance? Xiaohua asked. As for the specifics, I don't know yet. Hu Bo hurriedly replied. Snow Wolf King didn't have time to give me an order before Demon King Yamo Sa came to cause trouble. I could only deal with it in a hurry. You really don't know who that human immortal body is? Xiao Hua stretched out a finger and said indifferently, I'm from the Dao sect. I believe you also know that the soul-searching technique is the most common technique in the Dao sect. However, the Dao sect's soul-searching technique has a flaw. If you're not careful, you can turn someone into an idiot. I don't know if this will happen to the demon race if I'm not careful. Great Sage, please spare me. Hu Bo became anxious and shouted, My primordial spirit has that Great Sage's seal. If you search my soul, not only will I be harmed, Great Sage will also be in danger. You don't have to threaten me. Xiao Hua laughed. I can kill him, so I naturally have a way to break his seal. Hu Bo's face turned pale. Seeing Xiao Hua's finger covering all light and shadow, he couldn't even feel the heaven and earth. He hurriedly shouted, Great Sage, don't worry. What did you think of? Xiao Hua asked unhurriedly, but his finger stopped. Great Sage. Hu Bo's face was filled with extreme hesitation. It's not that I don't want to say, I really don't know much. I remember that I was worried that Great Sage Peng Xian would see through my plan and wanted to withdraw from this matter. Snow Wolf King led me to a mysterious place and I met that Great Sage. I won't hide it from Great Sage. When facing this Great Sage, I didn't even dare to raise my head. How could I know his intentions? Of course, when we came out of the mysterious space, Snow Wolf King hinted that this Great Sage had a great background. He was an envoy from a certain immortal race in the immortal world. Which immortal race? Xiao Hua asked with interest. He didn't think that Hu Bo would be able to give him a satisfactory answer. The result shocked Xiao Hua. Hu Bo carefully said, Snow Wolf King said that this Great Sage's surname seems to be Shun. That when the word Shin came out, Hu Bo's eyes spun rapidly, as if waiting for the restriction to activate. Fortunately, the space was calm and Hu Bo's body was calm. There was no change. Shin clan? Xiao Hua was confused. Do you think Snow Wolf King would tell you the truth? How could he tell you such important information? That's not something that I can know. Hu Qi smiled apologetically. However, I'm afraid that the Snow Wolf King was also forced to do so, right? Or perhaps Snow Wolf King had a deal with the Shin clan's envoy. In any case, Snow Wolf King probably wanted to reveal it. What else do you know? Xiao Hua asked, seeing that Hu Bo was so cooperative. Hu Bo thought for a moment, then said flatteringly, Great Sage is a great sage of the human race. There are many things that you can see clearly. There's no need for me to say more. And what Great Sage can't see, I don't have the ability to know either. Don't flatter me, Xiao Hua said indifferently. What else do you know? Hu Bai's eyes turned again and he replied, Regarding the matter of Demon King Moss's beloved concubine, I heard the Snow Wolf King mention it. It seems like the Great Ape King, the Great Eagle King, or the Holy Mother of Peacock started it. They seem to have seen through the Shin clan's plan. That Hu Bo carefully looked at Xiao Hua, worried that Xiao Hua would be dissatisfied. Fortunately, Xiao Hua's expression didn't change. He only frowned and pondered. A moment later, Xiao Hua looked at Hu Bo and said, At this point, you're already useless to me. I'll either kill you to silence you or let you go. Great Sage, spare me. Hu Bo hurriedly shouted. Just let me go like I'm a fart. I'm just an ordinary Fox Clan member. Don't worry, I won't kill you. However, I can't let you go right now. Xiao Hua smiled faintly. He raised his hand, and lightning appeared between his fingers, trapping Hu Qi again. He said, Your fate will be decided by another person. Hu Bo hurriedly asked. Xiao Hua raised his head and looked at the rising sun in the sky. There was an indescribable meaning in his mouth as he said, A beautiful person. Then, without waiting for Hu Bo to say anything, his mind swept Hu Bo into the space. Let's go. Xiao Hua flicked his sleeve and said, I don't know if Hu Bo is good or evil. Let Jiuxia decide. Is Jiuxia kind? Feng Wu asked with a smile. In any case, I believe in Jiuxia. Xiao Hua unhappily rolled his eyes at Feng Wu. He rubbed his hands and several crystal lights fell down, tearing the void apart. Then he flashed and entered. When Xiaohua stepped out of the space again, he was already very high up in the sky. The sky of the 10,000 demon realm was different from the 3 continents. Here, there was still no earth, fire, wind, or thunder, only endless astral winds. An indescribable oppressive feeling came from the sky, pressing down on them that Xiaohua stood high up in the sky and did not release his divine sense. What the naked eye could see was an extremely large number of clouds. These clouds were different from ordinary clouds. Not only were they not the common cotton-like appearance, but they had many indescribable shapes. What was more interesting was that these clouds were bright and colorful. It looked like the entire sky was a boundless garden. However, just as Xiaohua and Huang Tong appeared, there were many ripples in the void to their left. These ripples were like a fishing net. They either shrunk towards Xiaohua and Huang Tong or spread in all directions. In just a moment, more than a dozen Yuan Shun consciousness came from outside the ripples and swept towards them. At the same time, hundreds of birds rushed out from the colorful clouds. Each of them spread their wings and surrounded Xiaohua and Huang Tong. Huang Tong was similar to Xiaohua in that he did not like to reveal his aura. He always kept his aura restrained. At this time, when he saw the birds swarming over, he let out a mischievous cry. His aura, which was not very strong, rushed out, scaring the birds and causing them to scatter in all directions. Cough cough. Looking at Huang Tong's somewhat disrespectful appearance, Xiaohua felt ashamed for him. So Xiaohua coughed twice and said, "This old man is Xiaohua. I have come to the Phoenix sacred world to visit Divine Mother Peacock. Who can help me pass the message?" The great sage of the human race, Xiaohua? Instantly, a bird reacted and cried out in surprise. It would have been better if the bird did not cry out. With a cry of surprise, the birds that were resisting Huang Tong's aura no longer hesitated. They spread their wings and flew towards the clouds in the distance. In a moment, the entire sky was as clean as if a dog had licked it. Xiaohua was dumbstruck. This situation suddenly made him recall a story he had heard when he was a child. It seemed that whenever there was a scoundrel in the marketplace or a scoundrel in the streets of a small town, there would be a situation where the streets were completely empty. Chapter 48:31. Damn it, Xiaohua thought. This Xiao's notoriety has spread far and wide. I'm afraid the demon spirits of the 10,000 demon realm will coax their children at night by saying, "Are you going to sleep or not? If you don't sleep, Xiaohua will take you away." Huang Tong retracted her aura and looked to her left. Then, she asked for Xiaohua's realm sense and looked at it for a moment. She smiled and said, "There is something wrong with the colorful Phoenix King's realm sense. Although this place is marked as the Phoenix sacred domain in the realm sense, the one who appeared just now was not a phoenix." While she was talking, there was a very magnetic bird cry. A milky white halo flashed in the distant sky. There seemed to be a space portal inside the halo, and a swan several hundred feet in size flew out from the halo. Sky Rain Realm? Xiaohua and Huang Tong looked at each other, their eyes filled with surprise. After all, Sky Rain Realm was Xie Yan's hometown before she was married. Xiaohua had a good impression of this Sky Rain Realm and didn't want to disturb the swan race. Greetings to the great sage of the human race and the great sage of the phoenix race. That swan didn't wait to fly closer and immediately withdrew her natural arrogance. She slightly lowered her beautiful neck and opened her mouth. "Welcome to Sky Rain Realm. I am Heavenly Blessing Palace's Feather Wind King." Although Xiaohua had never seen Xian Wan's true appearance, nor had he heard Dai mention the relationship between Xian Wan and the master of the Heavenly Fortune Palace, since Xian Wan was able to marry demon monarch Masa, she must have some blood relationship with Featherwind Monarch. She should be Featherwind Monarch's junior. Therefore, Xiaohua didn't dare to neglect and hurriedly returned the greeting. "This old Xiaohua greets Featherwind King." Seeing Xiaohua so amiable and even somewhat humble, Featherwind King felt strange and hurriedly smiled. "Great Sage is a human on the saint ranking, an existence revered by all in the 10,000 demon realm. You are really making me panic." Xiaohua smiled and replied, This is the point of view of the spirit race. In the eyes of the human race, strength is important, but etiquette can't be ignored. Mutual respect is the foundation of courtesy. Human race? Featherwind King's eyes flashed with surprise. I haven't seen a human before, but if the human race is as gentle and elegant as Great Sage, I would like to know more about the human race. There may be a chance in the future. Xiaohua nodded. Great Sage, may I know why you came to the Dome Rain World today? Featherwind King asked carefully. What advice can there be? Huang Tong flapped her wings and laughed. I just went the wrong way. We want to make a trip to the Peacock Palace. Oh, I see. Featherwind King finally relaxed. He smiled. This place originally belonged to the Phoenix Sacred World, but a few decades ago, the colorful Phoenix King took a fancy to another dome territory of our Dome Rain World and traded this place for that domed territory. The Great Sage's realm sense might not have changed. Then which direction is the Peacock Palace? Xiaohua looked left and right at the sky domain that was beginning to fill with smoke and asked. I haven't seen the Holy Mother of Peacock for many days. Since the two great saints are heading to the Peacock Palace, please come with me. It will also save us the trouble of finding two great sages. Featherwind King said while looking at Xiaohua. Then I'll have to trouble Featherwind King. Xiaohua agreed with a smile. Please. Featherwind King nodded elegantly. She stretched her neck slightly and then flapped her pure white wings and flew towards a direction. Featherwind King's beautiful figure landed in the clouds. At this moment, within the Dome Rain World, thin clouds like smoke and mist gradually rose. Looking at it, it really looked like a beautiful painting. The swan race is indeed beautiful. Very suddenly, Feng Wu's voice actually appeared beside Xiaohua's ear, pulling back Xiaohua's admiring mood. More beautiful than the colorful Phoenix King. Huang Tong said softly in her heart. She flew up with Xiaohua and landed behind Featherwind King. Feng Wu smiled. Look at Featherwind King's neither fast nor slow manner. When the astral wind blows, those pure white feathers will flutter. It looks a little messy, but it's so messy that it really makes one's heart beat. It's rare for Phoenix Sage to be moved. Xiaohua did not have any intention of mocking and said, if possible, how about this shall help you express your feelings? No need. We don't have much time left, let's wait for fate in the future. Feng Wu finished and no longer spoke. Xiaohua's heart trembled. Counting the time he spent in the demon realm, it was really beyond his imagination. He had to quickly find the way to the Dawn Rain continent. After flying for half a meal's time, in the distant sky, the clouds began to reveal a faint tricolored brilliance. There were already some armored swans soaring in the sky. Seeing Featherwind King flying over, those swans hurriedly flew over to greet him. Featherwind King gave a few orders and the swans led the way to the tricolored brilliance. The tricolored brilliance was born from a huge cloud like a huge flower. Flying close, Featherwind King flapped his wings and a pure white feather flew out. It drew an arc in the sky and fell into the cloud. A tricolored light spot was born where the feather landed. Then from the sky, whether it was the power of the stars or the energy of heaven and earth, it turned into a hurricane and light pillar. The light spot began to rotate. The light spot became bigger and bigger, like a whirlpool on the sea. It went straight to the depths of the cloud. Great Sage. Featherwind King saw the whirlpool form, turned around and said respectfully, this is the space portal from my Sky Rain realm to the Phoenix Sacred Realm. Please follow me in. Thank you for your trouble, Featherwind King. Xiaohua nodded with a smile. Xiaohua followed the Featherwind King into the spatial gate. He saw that on the black path in the void, there were 3 intersecting light wheels. It seemed to be beautiful. Between the tricolored light wheel, either black or white light spots were faintly spread out. A space aura similar to a transmission channel gradually poured out from the walls of the void black road. As Xiaohua and the others flew in, a heavy pressure gradually began to form. The space also gradually condensed and flew into the ripples. In particular, some tricolored light strands broke away from the walls and floated around Xiaohua and the others. Whoosh! Seeing that a barrier was about to form in front of everyone, A huge force was born from the tricolored light wheels on the walls. This huge force tore the barrier apart. Xiao Hua and the others felt that the condensed space around them suddenly melted like a flood. Their figures rapidly floated forward. They didn't need to use the flying technique at all. When the light wheels around him turned into streams of light, a loud boom resounded. It was as if the light wheels had exploded, and the flowers fell in disorder. Xiao Hua felt his vision blur, and he was once again in a sky filled with light and shadow. The place where Xiao Hua and the others flew out was also a mountain-like cloud. The rippling tricolored light was shrinking rapidly. In front of the cloud, there were some phoenix warriors wearing armor guarding not far away. At this time, because of the activation of the space portal, they were already on guard. But when they saw Featherwind King with a phoenix warrior behind him and an inexplicable spirit warrior, the leader of the phoenix guards hurriedly flew over to greet him. After hearing Featherwind King's intention, the phoenix guards didn't dare to stop him. They hurriedly sent a message to the Phoenix God Palace while leading the way to another space portal. When they came out of the space portal, before Xiao Hua's figure landed, his eyes saw everything in front of him and he couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Because in front of him, the seemingly endless sky was filled with dense Buddhist light. Not only that, on the other side of the sky, a huge cloud was like an upside-down Bodhi tree, hanging down from the sky. Around the trunk of the tree, there were many branches and leaves. These branches and leaves were condensed from clouds, and many Buddhist light flickered from these clouds. From the huge Bodhi tree to the space portal where Xiao Hua was, there were also many clouds, and these clouds were also shining with Buddhist light in the shape of Buddhist lotuses. Xiao Hua felt a sense of absurdity and couldn't help but mutter in his heart, this 10,000 demon realm actually has a Buddhist sect? However, in just a moment, Xiao Hua woke up again. Because although the Buddhist light was dense, it lacked the indifference of Buddhism, and it didn't have the boundless power of faith. If one used their Buddhist consciousness to examine it carefully, they would discover that this Buddhist light was merely Buddhist light. There was no substantial Buddhist dharma within it. It was like an empty shell of Buddhist light. It was more like a Buddhist light without a source or a tree without roots. Featherwind King's figure landed, and some peacocks flew over from not far away. Featherwind King looked at the Bodhi tree in the distance and whispered, "Great sage, in front of us is Peacock Divine Mother's Peacock Palace. The brilliance and aura here are very different from other places in the 10,000 demon realm. However, every time I come to Peacock Palace, I will feel a sense of peace in my heart. I hope Great Sage won't blame me." Not at all. Seeing Featherwind King's careful words and even some slight flaws in his words, Xiao Hua had some understanding of Featherwind King's character. He smiled, "I am very familiar with the brilliance here. This is also my fate with Peacock Divine Mother. How can I blame you?" "Is that so?" Featherwind King felt strange, but his face showed a pleasant surprise. Then, "Can Great Sage tell me, what is this brilliance?" Xiao Hua shook his head slightly and didn't answer. Featherwind King was disappointed, but the anxiety in her heart was greatly reduced. She was really afraid when she saw Xiao Hua suddenly appear in Sky Rain Realm, thinking that this fiend was looking for trouble with the Swan clan. Who knew that Xiao Hua would come to Peacock Palace? If it was any other Archfiend King, they would have just pointed out the direction, but Featherwind King was worried that her disrespect would make Xiao Hua unhappy, so she personally sent him off. Along the way, she was very careful and didn't dare to rashly test Xiao Hua's tone. Until here, when she saw that Xiao Hua was very interested in Peacock Divine Mother's Buddhist light, she was relieved and knew that this human great sage who casually killed Great Ape King and Rainbow Lion King was not the fiend that other Archfiend Kings spoke of. Chapter 48-32. The little peacocks guarding the portal naturally didn't know Xiao Hua. They all greeted Featherwind King before greeting Xiao Hua and Huang Tong. However, after greeting them, the little peacocks all looked at Xiao Hua and Huang Tong curiously, waiting for Featherwind King's introduction. They wanted to know who this strange demon spirit and phoenix was. The little peacocks around the Peacock Palace were different from Xiao Hua's cowardice in the Sky Rain Realm and the respect of the phoenixes in the Phoenix Sacred Realm. They were all chattering away, and their eyes were lively and lively. Xiaohua and Huang Tong couldn't help but smile. Seeing the little peacocks being rude, Featherwind King panicked and hurriedly shouted, "How dare you! This is the great sage of the human race Xiaohua and the great sage of the phoenix race Huang Tong. How can you be so rude? Ah? You're the great sage of the human race?" Who would have thought that it would have been better if Featherwind King did not mention Xiaohua's name, but when she mentioned Xiaohua's name, the few little peacocks were all ecstatic. They spread their wings and rushed over to Xiaohua's side, talking all at once. "We have long heard the Holy Mother mention the great sage. So you actually look so strange." "Ha!" Xiaohua laughed and touched his nose. "What do you think this old man looks like?" Of course, it has to be someone who looks like us." With a few bold peacocks flying over, the other little peacocks also moved, spreading their tails and flying to Xiaohua's side. Cough cough. Featherwind King covered her mouth and coughed a few times. She really didn't understand why Xiaohua wasn't angry when these little peacocks were so rude. At this moment, under the Bodhi tree in the distance, a peacock's clear cry sounded. A rainbow bridge emerged from the side of the Bodhi tree, crossing the sky and landing in front of Xiaohua and the others. Divine Mother Peacock's figure flew from the rainbow bridge and said with a smile, "Great Sage Xiao, why did you suddenly come to my peacock palace today? I thought you had already left the 10,000 demon realm." But Xiaohua sighed and replied, "This Xiao has encountered a difficult matter, so I specially came to ask Divine Mother for advice." "What difficult matter? Even with great Sage Xiao's strength, he can't deal with it?" Peacock Divine Mother was stunned. She then looked at Featherwind King and said, "Thank you Featherwind King for bringing great Sage Xiao to my peacock palace." Featherwind King didn't dare to be slow. He flapped his wings and bowed, "Greetings, Holy Mother Peacock." "Greetings to the Holy Mother." When the little peacocks saw the Holy Mother of Peacock coming over, they didn't dare to be naughty anymore. They hurriedly scattered and bowed respectfully. "Featherwind King, please rise." Holy Mother Peacock hurriedly helped Featherwind King up and smiled. "Why is there a need to be so polite between us? Great Sage Xiao, you've come to the wrong place and trespassed into my sky rain realm. I haven't seen the Holy Mother for a long time, so I came with you." Although Featherwind King and Holy Mother Peacock were both demon kings, she still bowed respectfully in front of Holy Mother Peacock. Since the greetings were over, Divine Mother Peacock said to Featherwind King and Xiaohua, "This is not the place to talk. Please follow me to the Peacock Palace Hall for a chat." Featherwind King hurriedly declined, "No need. I brought the great sage of the human race and great sage of the phoenix race over. I don't dare to delay the matters of the two great sages and Holy Mother Peacock, so I'll take my leave now." "Since you're here, why the rush to leave?" Holy Mother Peacock smiled. How could Featherwind King stay? After a few polite words, he bowed towards Xiaohua and Huang Tong and flew into the spatial door. Seeing the spatial door slowly disappear, Xiaohua said in a low voice, "This Featherwind King seems to be too timid and cautious, right?" Hearing Xiaohua mention Featherwind King in front of her, Holy Mother Peacock knew that Xiaohua didn't treat her as an outsider. She smiled and said, "Every demon's personality is different. The swan race has always been like this. If not for the two great sages of the origin race looking after us, Song Yuan Domain." Speaking until here, Holy Mother Peacock didn't say anything more. She raised her wings and said, "Great Sage Xiao, Phoenix Sage, please." But Xiaohua and Huang Tong agreed and landed on the Rainbow Bridge. As the Rainbow Bridge shrank, the Bodhi tree instantly appeared in front of them. Xiaohua looked around and saw layers of clouds surging under the Rainbow Bridge. Clouds that looked like temples, spiritual mountains, and Buddhist shrines were born. Within the Buddhist light, there were fragmented heavenly flowers dancing in the sky. Even when listening carefully, there were faint sounds of Sanskrit and wooden fish coming from the void. This kind of tranquility was rare in the 10,000 demon realm. The other side of the Rainbow Bridge revealed the crown of the Bodhi tree. When it fell, in the bright Buddhist light, a hall similar to the Thunder Temple appeared. "Bodhisattva." Holy Mother Peacock transmitted her voice. "Have you seen this hall before?" "Of course." Xiaohua didn't hide and nodded. There's a thunder temple in the 3 continents that is similar to this hall. Holy Mother Peacock's face lit up and said excitedly, "How come Bodhisattva has seen the current Buddha Lord?" "Not just the current Buddha Lord?" Xiao Hua said meaningfully. "I've also seen the past Buddha Lord and the future Buddha Lord. Amitabha." Holy Mother Peacock couldn't help but chant. Bodhisattva is really the Guanyin Bodhisattva who saves people from suffering. Holy Mother, you've been to the Buddhist ruins in the Dawn Rain continent? Xiao Hua suddenly understood and hurriedly transmitted his voice. Buddhist ruins? Holy Mother Peacock was surprised and happy. Could it be? Bodhisattva has been there too? Of course. Xiao Hua nodded with a smile. Good. Holy Mother Peacock laughed and looked at the peacock guards around the hall. I have something important to discuss with the great sages of the human race and the great sages of the phoenix race. No one is to disturb me. Yes. The peacock guards received the order and flew away from the peacock hall, staying on guard. Please. Holy Mother Peacock politely flew in first. Although the peacock hall was called the peacock hall, it didn't look like a hall inside. Instead, it was an enormous Bodhi tree, which was the exact opposite of the cloud pillars outside. Under the Bodhi tree, there was a shabby praying mat. This praying mat looked ordinary, but strands of Buddhist light came out of it and fell on the Bodhi tree. The Buddhist light on the Bodhi tree shone and penetrated the void. Presumably, the Buddhist light Xiao Hua saw came from this peacock hall. Namo Maitreya Buddha. Xiao Hua's figure had just flown into the peacock hall when his eyes were immediately attracted by the praying mat. Moreover, the abnormally faint and abnormally vast aura on the praying mat rushed over like a wave. Xiao Hua couldn't help but recite the name of Buddha. The golden avatar faded in the Buddhist aura and transformed into the female avatar of Namo Merciful Guanyin Bodhisattva. Seeing Xiao Hua's avatar appear, Holy Mother Peacock was even more certain. She didn't dare to be negligent. The Buddhist light around her flashed, and she also transformed into an incomplete avatar of Buddha. This avatar of Buddha was wearing a light white robe with a crown, jade, earrings, bracelets, and other decorations. Its face was humanoid and benevolent. Its wings transformed into 4 arms, each holding an auspicious fruit and a peacock tail. However, although this avatar of Buddha had the outline of a human, most of it was still the demonic body of a golden peacock. Greetings to Namo Merciful Guanyin Bodhisattva. The 4 arms of Holy Mother Peacock put their palms together and bowed their heads. At this time, Xiao Hua reached out and took out the Kunlun mirror. In a flash of brilliance, another Buddhist name that shook the firmament was born from the brilliance. Namo Maitreya Buddha. Maitreya Buddha stepped out of Xiao Hua's space and revealed himself from the crown of the Bodhi tree. As soon as Maitreya Buddha appeared, the Buddhist light in the peacock hall dimmed and the Buddhist aura that filled the space suddenly converged. Ah? Holy Mother Peacock was shocked and hurriedly looked up. When she saw Maitreya Buddha, she shouted in disbelief, Future Buddha Lord? Maitreya Buddha. Maitreya Buddha chanted the name of Buddha and stepped down from the crown of the Bodhi tree. Each step caused a lotus to appear. Each step caused a tremor. Each step caused a layer of Buddhist light to be annihilated. When Maitreya Buddha walked to the front of the praying mat, the peacock hall was silent. There was no Buddhist light at all. Even the Buddhist light outside the peacock hall disappeared. When the peacock hall lost its Buddhist light, not only were the peacock guards outside shocked, but all the peacocks around the peacock hall were in an uproar. They all flapped their wings and flew up, wanting to get closer to the peacock hall. Retreat, retreat. The guards of the peacock palace were surprised, but they still remembered the Holy Mother of Peacock's orders. They flew up to protect the peacock palace and shouted, "The Holy Mother of Peacock has ordered that no peacock can come close." But at this time, a tricolored vortex appeared where the space portal was. A moment later, a fist-sized ball of light appeared in the sky. As the vortex expanded, the ball of light also gradually grew bigger. The peacocks that were a little panicked earlier hurriedly flew back and guarded around the ball of light. When the vortex turned into a portal that was almost 10,000 feet wide, A pillar of fire rushed out from the portal and landed on the ball of light that was a few thousand feet wide. The powerful aura covered the area. The Fire Phoenix King's figure became solid in the ball of light. Greetings, Great Sage. The little peacocks were very familiar with the Great Sage of the Phoenix Holy World. They did not dare to be negligent and hurriedly bowed. Oh, what's going on? The Fire Phoenix King asked curiously when she saw the change in the light around the Peacock Hall as soon as she came out of the portal. The peacocks did not dare to be negligent and hurriedly answered, "Yes, Great Sage." Just now, unfortunately, before the peacocks could finish their words, the portal behind the Fire Phoenix King flashed again. This time, the light was 9-colored. Ha! The colorful Phoenix King is here too. The Fire Phoenix King smiled and flew to the side. She flapped her wings and said, "Don't worry. We'll talk when she's here." You can. Chapter 48:33. Yes, Great Sage. The group of little peacocks chuckled and chattered around the Fire Phoenix King. The Fire Phoenix King looked at these cute little peacocks and smiled slightly. She was very touched by the peacock mother's indulgence of the little peacocks. The 9-colored halo condensed and the Fire Phoenix King's demon body appeared. She saw the Fire Phoenix King at a glance and was not surprised. She said meaningfully, "Fire Phoenix King, where did you go earlier? My demon realm has not seen such a lively scene for nearly 1,000,000 years. It's really a pity that you didn't see it." The Fire Phoenix King did not hide it from the Fire Phoenix King and sighed. There are some things that the Rapid Cherry Grand Sage is not convenient for other demon spirits to know. So I can only do it for her. However, the Rapid Cherry Grand Sage has already told me about the excitement of that day. TSK Disket. The Fire Phoenix King smacked her lips and said, "That's so intimate. What happened?" A great sage of the original clan has no confidence. Why did he not let other demon spirits go but let you, a great sage of the Phoenix clan, go? What happened to the Peacock Palace? While the Fire Phoenix King was mocking the Fire Phoenix King, she also noticed the strangeness around her and asked curiously. "Two great sages." The little peacocks hurriedly reported, "Just now, a human great sage and another great sage of the Phoenix clan came over. When they entered the Peacock Palace, they became like this. Namo Mithriya Buddha, Namo Mithriya Buddha, Namo Mithriya Buddha." As the little peacocks were talking, the sky was filled with Buddhist chants. Then, layers of Buddhist light emerged from the Peacock Palace again and spread toward the canopy of the inverted Bodhi tree. At the same time, Buddhist light came out of the canopy and fell into the other lotus-shaped clouds. In the blink of an eye, the entire Peacock Palace was filled with Buddhist light again. However, this time, the Buddhist light was different from before. Not only was it indifferent, but it was also very lively. Between each ray of light, there seemed to be a Mithriya Buddha sitting in it. The Fire Phoenix King didn't understand Buddhism, but he could feel the difference in the Buddha's light. As the Mithriya Buddha appeared, countless heavenly flowers, fairies, and dragons appeared in the sky. Everyone knew something was happening in the Peacock Palace. "Hurry up and leave." The colored Phoenix King was worried about Holy Mother Peacock and urged her. Flapping her wings, she rushed toward the Peacock Palace faster than a shooting star. When Namo Mithriya Buddha walked to the front of the praying mat, the praying mat suddenly disappeared, and all the Buddha's light disappeared. At the same time, the Bodhi tree behind the praying mat, the Buddhist light inside the Peacock Palace, and the Buddhist light outside the Peacock Palace were all annihilated. Holy Mother Peacock was taken aback. "Mithriya Buddha of the world. Why is this happening?" The Mithriya Buddha of the world ignored her and lowered his head to look at the praying mat that had lost its Buddhist light. He frowned as if he was thinking about something or hesitating. However, it was only a moment before the Mithriya Buddha of the world took the last step and stood on the praying mat. Namo Mithriya Buddha. A thunderous Buddhist chant sounded. A joyful Buddhist light, a joyful heavenly flower, and an excited heavenly dragon suddenly emerged from the futon. They spun rapidly around the golden Buddha statue of Mithriya Buddha. Streaks of golden light formed the shape of a swastika. The Mithriya Buddha of the world placed his hands in a mudra in front of his chest. His eyes were full of compassion as he looked at the void. He seemed to be able to see through time and space as well as the void of all realms. He said, "Where there is light, there is Buddha. Where there is Buddha, there is a heart. Where there is Buddha in the heart, there is a Buddhist kingdom in the world. Before me, there should be no Buddha. After me, there is no end to Buddha. In this world, only I am supreme. Namo Maitreya Buddha. Namo Dipankara Archaic Buddha, Namo Amitabha Buddha, Namo Maitreya Buddha." In the sky, 3 Buddhist chants were born from heaven and earth. The Maitreya Buddha of the world slowly sat down. Swish. The Buddhist light, Buddhist chant, heavenly dragon, heavenly flower, and even the Maitreya Buddha of the world's phantoms rushed into the void, rushed into the space, and rushed into the Bodhi tree. The Peacock Palace was lit up again. The Buddhist light rushed past the Maitreya Buddha like a tide. The Maitreya Buddha statue of the Maitreya Buddha slowly became full, and a benevolent Bodhisattva statue appeared in the Buddhist light. Namo Maitreya Buddha. The Maitreya Buddha of the world was happy. She knelt in front of the Maitreya Buddha of the world and said respectfully, "Disciple greets the world supreme." The Maitreya Buddha of the world supreme smiled and said the word, "Qian." Then he raised his hand and the word, "Qian," turned into a Buddhist light and fell between the Maitreya Buddha of the world's eyebrows. Seeing the word, "Qian," flashing, the Maitreya Buddha of the world supreme chanted, "Then the world supreme will enter nirvana. Lie down and announce it to the public. I wish to enter nirvana today. I don't see Ananda and Maha Kasyapa. Come with the language. I won't see you again. Even if the worried wave pair rises to the sky. Then the Buddha mother will hear this. With joy in the heart, return to the sky. Before reaching the sky, stand in the void. With compassion in the heart, cry out loud. Heaven and earth shook. Tears fell like rain. The birds in the clouds all cried. All love will have parting. What is Tathagata, Nirvana Sutra Buddha? The Maitreya Buddha of the world supreme finished chanting and said, "This is the Maitreya Sutra of the Maitreya Buddha of the world supreme, which is suitable for you to cultivate. Today, there is no Buddhist light in the 10,000 demon realm, no river of faith, and no path of reincarnation. Therefore, although you have the merit of welcoming the Buddha's Buddhist light, you can't achieve the Buddha fruit for the time being. When my golden body descends and the Buddhist sect of the 10,000 demon realm is established, you can become the Maitreya Buddha of the world supreme." Amitabha, Amitabha. The Maitreya Buddha of the world supreme was full of joy and said with a smile, "When I learned about the path of Buddhism, I immediately knew this joy and knew that I could be greatly satisfied in the Buddhist light. But for hundreds of thousands of years, there was no progress in cultivation and the Buddhist light became an empty shell. Today, with the Maitreya Buddha of the world supreme as the light of the road, I will follow step by step and let my Buddhist light spread throughout the 10,000 demon realm." Xiaohua. Seeing the Maitreya Buddha of the world supreme and the Maitreya Buddha of the world supreme talking, Huang Tong was puzzled and asked in her heart, "What's going on? Is this praying mat Maitreya Buddha of the world supreme? Why did he have a vision when he touched this praying mat? The words he said just now. What did he mean?" Xiaohua's face did not have any special joy and was even a little worried. When he heard Huang Tong's question, he replied in his heart, "This praying mat does not belong to the Maitreya Buddha of the world supreme. If there is no accident, it should be under the Shakyamuni Buddha when he had an epiphany under the Bodhi tree to create the Buddhist sect. Therefore, this praying mat has its own Buddhist light, and it is the first Buddhist light. It contains the foundation of the Buddhist sect, the origin of the Buddhist sect. If the Maitreya Buddha of the world supreme obtains this praying mat, his future achievements will be limitless. As for what the world supreme said, it is similar to what the Shakyamuni Buddha said that day, but at that time, the Shakyamuni Buddha said it to the entire world, and the Maitreya Buddha of the world supreme said it to the 10,000 demon realm. They are not the same. You seem to be very worried. Huang Tong said curiously, "Could it be that the Maitreya Buddha of the world supreme should not say this?" The Maitreya Buddha of the world supreme said this, and it corresponds to the previous great wish, "There is nothing inappropriate." Xiaohua replied, I am worried about the Shakyamuni Buddha. That day in the Thunder Temple in the Pure Land world, the Mahavairakana Buddha of the World Supreme had already said in advance that Luer gave up the Buddha fruit of the future Buddha and went to the west to seek scriptures, possibly for the Shakyamuni Buddha. At this time, the Shakyamuni Buddha's praying mat actually appeared in the 10,000 demon realm. Then, what about the Shakyamuni Buddha? Where is he? Could it be that he has encountered some difficulties? How is that possible? Huang Tong said with a smile, the Shakyamuni Buddha is the founder of the Buddhist sect. Why is it impossible? If there is a Buddha, there will naturally be a Tao ancestor. Similarly, the Holy Light world also has the Holy Mother. Xiaohua replied faintly, the Buddha will also encounter difficulties that cannot be overcome. Then what should we do? Huang Tong was a little worried for the Maitreya Buddha of the World Supreme. Xiaohua shrugged and said, how would I know? I am not going to the Buddhist kingdom. These things are for the Maitreya Buddha of the World Supreme to worry about. The most important thing for us now is to find the space passage back to the Dawn Rain continent. As he spoke, Xiaohua looked out of the Peacock Palace and said meaningfully, the two great sages of the Phoenix clan came really quickly. You are now infamous. Who dares to ignore you wherever you go? Huang Tong sneered. They are afraid that you will attack the Holy Mother of the Peacock. When Xiaohua looked up, the Maitreya Buddha of the World Supreme naturally noticed the situation outside the Peacock Palace. He stood up and said, I have yet to descend from the Buddhist kingdom, so it is not good for me to appear here. Otherwise, after I leave, I am afraid that it will be disadvantageous to you. Thank you for your mercy. The Holy Mother of the Peacock smiled and said, however, there is only the Buddhist light in my heart and nothing else. Dharma needs to be cultivated, but the Buddhist kingdom is not. The Maitreya Buddha of the World Supreme replied, we still have to be careful when we enter the world. Disciple obeys the World Supreme's orders. The Holy Mother of the Peacock stood up and looked at the Maitreya Buddha of the World Supreme. Xiaohua took out the Kunlun mirror and hurriedly said, World Supreme, this Buddhist treasure is a gift from disciple to you, please accept it. Namo Maitreya Buddha. The Maitreya Buddha of the World Supreme nodded with a smile and said, this item is very useful to me. However, I wonder where the Wisdom King obtained this Buddhist treasure? The Holy Mother of the Peacock did not dare to be negligent and hurriedly said, this disciple accidentally entered the Dawn Rain continent and obtained it from the ruins of the Buddhist sect. I see. The Maitreya Buddha of the World Supreme kept the praying mat and stepped into the Kunlun mirror with lotus flowers. He said, this matter should be explained to the Guanyin Bodhisattva. I am going to meditate. As the light pillar above the Kunlun mirror rushed out, the Maitreya Buddha of the World Supreme's figure disappeared from the Peacock Palace. Chapter 48-34. Farewell, World Supreme. Holy Mother Peacock bowed respectfully and waited for the Maitreya Buddha to enter the space. Although there was no longer a praying mat in the Peacock Palace, the Buddhist light was like the source of living water. It was still flickering between the Bodhi trees. Divine Mother Peacock was happy. The Buddha's golden body slowly disappeared and returned to its peacock demon form. Xiaohua kept the Kunlun mirror and revealed his transcendence golden body. At this time, Divine Mother Peacock saw the Kunlun mirror in Xiaohua's hand and said in surprise, Bodhisattva, is that the Kunlun mirror in your hand? Xiaohua raised the Kunlun mirror and said with a smile, I heard that this item is called the Kunlun mirror. As for whether it is an ancient divine item, I don't know. After keeping the Kunlun mirror, Xiaohua asked, I came today to ask Divine Mother, where is the space passage that you used to go to the Dawn Rain continent? Did you go to the Dawn Rain continent with your real body or your clone? How did you return to the 10,000 demon realm? It's a long story. Divine Mother Peacock smiled and looked outside the Peacock Palace. She said, if Bodhisattva wants to ask about the Buddhist ruins, I will tell you about my experience there first. Then I will tell you about the space passage in detail. After all, the two great sages of the Phoenix clan are still waiting outside the Peacock Palace. Okay, then tell me about your experience in the Buddhist ruins. Xiaohua's heart sank and he nodded. After Holy Mother Peacock briefly explained the matter of the Buddhist sect ruins, she nodded at Xiaohua. She spread her wings, and a colorful brilliance rushed out of the void. She then flew behind the palace door and said loudly, "I'm sorry for making the two great sages wait outside the palace. It's really a sin." It's okay." Fire Phoenix King and Colorful Phoenix King's voices came from outside the palace. They laughed and said, "We heard that the great sages of the Human Clan and the Phoenix Clan are coming, so we came to visit. We didn't send a message in advance. No wonder, Divine Mother." Xiao Hua and Huang Tong stood in the Peacock Palace and watched the two great sages of the Phoenix Clan fly in. Fire Phoenix King's eyes fell on Huang Tong and an indescribable innate hostility arose involuntarily. She said, "At the beginning of the primordial age, when the chaos was just beginning, clear and light ascended into the sky, thick and heavy, and it fell into the ground. The sun and moon were bright, the stars were revolving, and all living things were growing. Male and female phoenixes, when heaven and earth intersect, 9 types of phoenixes are born: Golden Phoenix, Rainbow Phoenix, Fire Phoenix, Snow Phoenix, Blue Phoenix, Peacock, Great Rock, Thunderbird, and Great Gale. I wonder what kind of demon spirit the Phoenix Sage is?" Fire Phoenix King. When the Colored Phoenix King heard this, she was also displeased. She reminded him in a low voice, "This is the great sage of the Phoenix Clan, Huang Tong, not Feng Wu." Huang? Hehe, that's funny. You're from the Phoenix race, so why do you have the surname Huang? Fire Phoenix King mocked. Fire Phoenix King wanted to provoke Huang Tong, but before he could finish, Colorful Phoenix King laughed coldly. Fire Phoenix King, what do you mean? Could it be that there are only 9 types of phoenixes in this world? Don't the other phoenixes have any origins? When King Fire Phoenix heard this, she knew that something was wrong. She only disliked Huang Tong and had forgotten about King Colorful Phoenix. Although there was a Rainbow Phoenix among the 9 types of phoenixes, the Rainbow Phoenix King was a Rainbow Phoenix after all. It wasn't part of the 9 types of phoenixes. Fire Phoenix King hesitated and looked at Colorful Phoenix King awkwardly. She didn't know how to answer. "Why are you hanging around the great sage of the Origin Clan every day?" Colorful Phoenix King said coldly. "You didn't learn anything good, but you did learn a lot about jealousy. Do you think that the profound Star Grand Sage can't see through your thoughts? He knows that the Swift Cherry Grand Sage is using you, so he doesn't care about you and didn't chase you away." "What are you talking about?" Fire Phoenix King was furious. "What am I talking about?" Colorful Phoenix King laughed coldly. 2 great sages of the Phoenix Clan appeared in the 10,000 Demon Realm. "Where did you go? Don't you want to come out and meet them? When did the Phoenix Clan become so famous in the 10,000 Demon Realm?" The primordial spirits of the Great Ape King and the Rainbow Lion King were both devoured by the Phoenix Sage. Even the profound Star Grand Sage and the Swift Cherry Grand Sage have to be careful when they see the Phoenix Sage. You actually dare to compare yourself with the Phoenix Sage. If the Phoenix Sage didn't lower herself to your level, she would have killed you long ago. Now you have the nerve to ask me. Fire Phoenix King wanted to retort, but her face turned hot when she heard the last few words. Although Colorful Phoenix King's tone was sarcastic, her last few words were to smooth things over for Fire Phoenix King. She was trying to excuse Fire Phoenix King's recklessness at the beginning. Huang Tong's temper was not like Xiaohua's. She had always been intolerant. When she heard that Fire Phoenix King dared to challenge her, she became impatient. She flapped her wings and was about to attack. At this moment, when she heard Colorful Phoenix King trying to smooth things over, she retracted her wings and laughed coldly. "Since Colorful Phoenix King has spoken, I won't lower myself to your level. You're already a great saint of the Phoenix Clan, yet you're still so narrow-minded. It's no wonder that the Phoenix Clan is not thriving in the 10,000 Demon Realm." Fire Phoenix King was embarrassed and ashamed, but when Huang Tong said this, her anger rose again. She opened her mouth to shout. But Divine Mother Peacock smiled and said, "Great saints, please don't argue. Those who can cultivate to the saint rankings all have great opportunities and perseverance. Although bloodline and background are related, it has a lot to do with one's hard work. Didn't Fire Phoenix King just say that? Among the 9 types of phoenixes, there is no colorful Phoenix King, but colorful Phoenix King can still be listed on the saint rankings. Among the 9 types of phoenixes, there is also the name of peacock. But I'm still very far away from becoming a great saint. Indeed. Colorful Phoenix King did not dare to let Fire Phoenix King speak. She hurriedly said, "There are many great saints in the 10,000 demon realm, but there are very few with pure bloodline." At this point, Colorful Phoenix King looked at Huang Tong again and changed the topic. She asked, "Phoenix Saint, I remember that day near the Gale Abyss. You told the great saints of the human clan that you wanted to leave the 10,000 demon realm. But why did you suddenly come to my Phoenix sacred world today?" Huang Tong glanced at Fire Phoenix King with a face full of disdain. She said, "Of course we want to leave the 10,000 demon realm. But we haven't found a way to leave the 10,000 demon realm. So today, we came to the Peacock Palace to ask about the spatial passage to the Dawn Rain Continent." Dawn Rain Continent? Colorful Phoenix King was stunned. She looked at Divine Mother Peacock in confusion and whispered, "Divine Mother Peacock, do you know about this Dawn Rain Continent?" "That's right," Divine Mother Peacock said with a smile. "When I was training in the Origin Grotto Heaven, I accidentally passed through the realm barrier and arrived at the Dawn Rain Continent. I left some descendants there. Great Saint Shao came from the Dawn Rain Continent. I smelled a trace of my descendants on Great Saint Shao, so I gave some blood essence and peacock plume to Great Saint Shao and asked him to pass it on to his descendants." "So that's how it is," Colorful Phoenix King said with a smile. "There are indeed many spatial rifts in the Origin Grotto Heaven. There are some fortuitous encounters when passing through there occasionally." "That's right." Divine Mother Peacock looked at Xiao Hua apologetically and said, "That day, I also accidentally fell into the Dawn Rain Continent. The spatial rift disappeared after I broke through the realm barrier. I also looked for the spatial passage to return to the 10,000 demon realm in the Dawn Rain Continent, but I didn't find it. Later, I had to pass through a place called the Demon Imperial Valley to go to the demon realm." "Ah? Divine Mother Peacock, you actually returned to the 10,000 demon realm through the demon realm?" Hearing this, even Fire Phoenix King was shocked. Divine Mother Peacock nodded helplessly and said, "Yes, there is no spatial passage to return to the 10,000 demon realm from the Dawn Rain Continent. Moreover, I didn't find a place like the Origin Grotto Heaven in the Dawn Rain Continent, so there was no way to return directly to the 10,000 demon realm. Later, I heard that there was a Demon Imperial Valley in the Dawn Rain Continent. Every few thousand years, a spatial rift would appear, and the demon clan would attack the Dawn Rain Continent. I wanted to return to the 10,000 demon realm through the demon realm. No wonder there was no movement from you in the Peacock Palace all those years," Colored Phoenix King said thoughtfully. "Until the demon realm war, you suddenly appeared. So you returned to the 10,000 demon realm from the demon realm." Divine Mother Peacock's face was full of indescribable expression. She smiled bitterly and said, "The demon realm is not a place where the demon clan can go. If I didn't have some opportunities when I first entered the 10,000 demon realm and could temporarily hide my aura, I'm afraid I would have been devoured by the demon clan in the demon realm. However, even so, it took me more than 3,000 years to find the spatial rift to the 10,000 demon realm. I waited for another 800 years before the rift opened." When Xiaohua heard this, his heart turned cold. He had the demon clan's avatar, so going to the demon realm was not difficult. He even had the news of the spatial rift from the demon realm to the Dawn Rain Continent. However, he didn't have the time to wait for the spatial rift to appear. "Divine Mother Peacock," Xiaohua probed, "is there no other way besides borrowing the demon realm?" "Of course, there are also realms like the Celestial Tao world and the Night Spirit realm." Divine Mother Peacock smiled. "However, I only know the passage to the demon realm. If you need it, I can give it to you." "Celestial Tao world? Night Spirit realm?" Xiaohua frowned slightly and asked curiously, "What kind of realms are those?" "The so-called Night Spirit realm is a realm where the spirit clan gathers. However, there is no sun or bright sun, no moon, no purple moon or bright moon, not even stars. There is no light in the realm. When the demon spirits of the 10,000 demon realm go there, their powers will be sharply reduced. Fire Phoenix King finally spoke. As for the celestial Tao world, I heard that it is a realm where the human clan gathers. It is said that the cultivators there all cultivate some kind of Tao, and their powers are extremely powerful. However, the laws of heaven and earth in this celestial Tao world are lower than in the 10,000 demon realm. Ordinary great saints can't enter. Xiaohua sucked in a breath of cold air and glanced at Huang Tong. The celestial Tao world that Fire Phoenix King mentioned was somewhat similar to the Liu Immortal Alliance on the other side of Million Meng Mountains. Unfortunately, Huang Tong shrugged. How would he know? Chapter 48-35. At this point, Xiaohua had some doubts and asked, I have another question. I heard that the space in the origin grotto heaven is unstable, and there are often spatial cracks that lead to other realms. From these signs, it seems that the origin grotto heaven is at the edge of the 10,000 demon realm. Since there are spatial cracks there, what is broken? Must be the realm barrier. The suction and tearing force of the spatial cracks must be extraordinary. Even with the ability of the 10,000 demon realm's great saints, they might not be able to escape. If this is the case, how do you explain what Divine Mother Peacock said about ordinary great saints not being able to enter? Without waiting for Divine Mother Peacock to speak, Colorful Phoenix King smiled and said, Great Saint Zhao's words are a bit extreme. Everything is different. The laws of heaven and earth in the 10,000 demon realm are different from the other realms. There will be some differences, but the distribution of the laws of heaven and earth in the realms is not balanced. For example, the power of the stars and moon in some places is very strong, and the power of the stars and moon in other places is very thin. Therefore, when there is a passage between two realms, the suction force and the stability of the passage are related to the laws of heaven and earth in the two realms. If the laws of heaven and earth in the other realms are similar to that of the 10,000 demon realm, the passage will be stable, and the suction force inside will not be particularly strong. Not to mention great saints, even ordinary sun elites might be able to resist it. Moreover, after passing through the passage, there may not be extreme discomfort. In this way, if the laws of the other realms are weaker, great saints with powerful divine powers can choose to avoid it. I see. Huang Tong nodded slightly and said to Xiaohua, I understand. The 10,000 demon realm, the 4 continents, are the greater thousand world. The Shenyuan space is the so-called lesser thousand world, so the laws of heaven and earth should be somewhat different. Xiaohua's face did not show any joy. After all, what Colorful Phoenix King said was an extreme case. Who knew what accidents he would encounter? Xiaohua retracted his gaze and looked at Colorful Phoenix King, Fire Phoenix King, and Divine Mother Peacock. He asked, which great saint knows about the passage from the Tao Celestial World or the Night Spirit World to the Dawn Rain Continent? I don't know. Fire Phoenix King shook her head. Divine Mother Peacock said, Great Sage Xiao, don't think too much about the Heaven Realm and the Night Spirit Realm, because the space channel between them and the 10,000 Demon Realm is unstable. It's not even as stable as the Demon World's spatial passageway. In the past, there were great saints who accidentally entered the Night Spirit World and Tao Celestial World's void cracks, but none of them returned in one piece. How many years until the Devil World opens? Wang Tong asked. The Colored Phoenix King pondered for a moment before replying, about 7,000 years. Where is the approximate location of the spatial crack? Xiaohua asked. It's not fixed. Holy Mother Peacock knew what Xiaohua was planning to do. She spread her wings, took out a feather, and handed it to Xiaohua. This records the location of the 2 spatial rifts in the demon realm, but I can't guarantee that. These locations haven't changed. Xiaohua took it and carefully put it away. He nodded and said, Many thanks, Holy Mother Peacock. If there is really no other way, this Xiao might consider entering the demon realm. The Colored Phoenix King was a little moved. She said, The human race doesn't exist in the 10,000 demon realm, but I see that your body is similar to the demon races. You must be the demon race's food. If you enter the demon realm, won't there be no way out? After all, the great saints of the demon race can't even use 70 to 80% of their abilities in the demon realm. Sigh, there's no other way. Xiaohua smiled bitterly. For the billions of living beings in the 3 continents, this Xiao has to take the risk. Great Saint Xiao. The colored phoenix king pondered. Actually, the easiest way is to go to the origin grotto heaven. That's where the great saints of the 10,000 demon realm train and comprehend the spatial laws. There are often some inexplicable spatial rifts. If you're lucky enough, there might be a spatial passageway to the Dawn Rain continent. It's too difficult. Holy Mother Peacock objected. Most of these spatial rifts lead to dead ends. Occasionally, there might be a way to other realms. It's fine if it's the demon realm, but the Tao celestial world, night spirit world, or other realms don't even know the spatial passageway to the Dawn Rain continent. What's the difference between there and the 10,000 demon realm? But if we don't try, how can we go to the Dawn Rain continent? The colored phoenix king argued. Forget it. Xiaohua thought for a while and raised his hand to take out the Kunlun mirror. The Kunlun mirror? Not only the colored phoenix king, but even the fire phoenix king was slightly stunned. The 2 great saints of the phoenix race looked at each other with shock in their eyes. Fellow Taoists. Xiaohua shook the Kunlun mirror, and Feng Wu, Thunder Immortal, and Immortal Yun flew out. Xiaohua bowed and said, "We don't have much time left. If we want to go to the Dawn Rain continent before the destruction of the 3 continents, I'm afraid we'll have to make some decisions." Feng Wu, Huang Tong, Thunder Immortal, and Immortal Yun looked at each other with determination in their eyes. They looked at Xiaohua and said, "We understand what you're thinking, fellow Taoist Xiao. We'll do as you say." All right. Xiaohua bowed and said, "If I end up in other realms, I'll leave the important task of breaking the array to all of you." Great Saint Xiao. The Fire Phoenix King heard this and understood. She exclaimed, "You want to?" Xiaohua nodded and said, "Since the spatial crack that appeared might not necessarily lead to some realm, and this spatial crack might not necessarily lead to a path of life, but it might lead to the Dawn Rain continent after all. Of us 5 great sages, perhaps one of us will end up in the Dawn Rain continent." Damn it. The Fire Phoenix King cursed in a low voice. "You've cultivated to the great saint realm. How can you trample on your own lives like this? Compared to the billions of lives in the 3 continents, our lives are much lighter." Xiaohua and his clones answered in unison. "Moreover, if we end up in another realm, we might not necessarily lose our lives. Don't worry. Alas, Namo Mithriya Buddha." Although Namo Mithriya Buddha didn't show up, Mother Peacock knew that he was doing the same thing. Mother Peacock couldn't help but chant that the Fire Phoenix King's blood was boiling. Although she didn't understand why Xiaohua and the other great saints valued other lowly beings so much, she couldn't help but sigh when she saw how spirited they were. She couldn't help but say in a low voice, Phoenix King, I think, if you're not confident, can you ask the Swift Cherry Grand Sage first?" The Swift Cherry Grand Sage? Feng Wu was puzzled. She asked curiously, "What do you mean, Fire Phoenix King?" "All right." Mother Peacock was pleasantly surprised. "How could I forget? The Origin Grotto Heaven is the realm of the Origin tribe. The Profound 2 Grand Sage and the Swift Cherry Grand Sage are the great saints of the Origin tribe. Although they don't forbid us from cultivating in the Origin Grotto Heaven, they might know the secrets of the Origin Grotto Heaven. Great Saint Xiao, great saints, why don't you ask the 2 great saints of the Origin tribe?" "Indeed." The Fire Phoenix King said to Feng Wu with a smile, "Phoenix King, why don't you ask the Swift Cherry Grand Sage?" Haha, it seems that the Fire Phoenix King is a straightforward great saint. Feng Wu laughed. "She's much stronger than the Great Ape King, the Rainbow Lion King, and the Snow Wolf King." The Fire Phoenix King's face froze. She had a bad feeling. She whispered, "Phoenix King, what do you mean? Have you seen the Snow Wolf King?" Feng Wu smiled. "Not only have I seen her, I'm afraid you won't see her again." The Fire Phoenix King looked at the colorful Phoenix King. Both of them were shocked. They couldn't understand how the Snow Wolf King had offended Feng Wu and the other great saints. However, the Fire Phoenix King had never liked the Snow Wolf King. Other than shock, she was gloating. She asked tentatively, "Phoenix King, when did you meet the Snow Wolf King?" "Don't ask." Feng Wu smiled. "She offended me, of course. Otherwise, I wouldn't have helped her. As for the specific reason, perhaps you'll know in the future." Since Feng Wu didn't say, the Fire Phoenix King couldn't ask. He thought for a moment and said to the Colorful Phoenix King, "Colorful Phoenix King, I just came back from the Origin tribe. It's not convenient for me to go now. You and Mother Peacock can take the Phoenix King and the others to find the Swift Cherry Grand Sage." TSK. The Colorful Phoenix King looked at him with disdain and mocked. "When we don't need you, you go to the Origin tribe every day. Now that the two great saints of the Phoenix clan need you, you're shrinking back. It's not like you don't know where the Origin tribe is. It's not like you don't know the Profound Grand Sage and the Swift Cherry Grand Sage." The Fire Phoenix King snorted. She flapped her wings and flew out of the Peacock Palace. She shouted, "Why do you want me to go again?" "Since the Fire Phoenix King doesn't want to go, we'll take Great Saint Shao to the Origin tribe." Mother Peacock watched the Fire Phoenix King fly away and smiled. "There's a space portal from the Phoenix Sacred Realm to the Origin tribe's Fusang realm. It won't take much effort." Xiao Hua was overjoyed. He cupped his hands and said, "Thank you so much." Mother Peacock and the Colorful Phoenix King hurriedly returned the greeting. Xiao Hua looked at the Thunder Immortal and the others and narrowed his eyes. He didn't use the Kunlun mirror to put them into the space. Instead, he took them out of the Peacock Palace and into the space portal. After coming out of the spatial portal, a huge plane appeared in front of him. This plane didn't look any different from the Thousand Demons' sacred realm. There were mountains, rivers, trees, and flowers. Nearby, there were beautiful flowers and lush green grass. Demon spirits that were several times larger than the demons in the Thousand Demons' sacred realm were playing among the ancient trees. In the distance, there were mountain ranges that rose and fell one after another. In the vast sky, there were many flying feather demon spirits spreading their wings and flying towards the sky. However, when Xiao Hua and the others flew out of the space portal, there was a faint surprise in their eyes. This was because there was a thin primitive aura coming from the left side of the space. It was completely different from the other places in the 10,000 Demons realm. Moreover, when Xiao Hua hurriedly looked around, he saw clearly that the demon spirits within 1,000 miles, whether they were flying in the sky or running on the ground, had faint golden or faint silver filaments on their bodies. They were somewhat similar to Demon King Masa in the Tsang Yuan realm. Chapter 48-36. The spatial portal that Xiao Hua and the others came out of was at the top of a small hill. When the Holy Mother of Peacock flew out, no demon spirits came over. It was only when Xiao Hua and the other unfamiliar great saints came out that they attracted the attention of the nearby demon spirits. Screech. A sharp screech pierced through the air. More than a dozen vultures spread their wings and flew out from the distant foothills and ancient trees. On the forehead of the leading vulture, there was a golden thread that looked like a flower petal. It was quite eye-catching. "Greetings, Colorful Phoenix King and Divine Mother Peacock." Vulture naturally recognized Colorful Phoenix King and Divine Mother Peacock. He moved his gaze away from Xiao Hua and the others and hurriedly greeted them. No need to be so polite. Colorful Phoenix King naturally disdained the ugly vulture. Divine Mother Peacock immediately said with a smile, "I have come with Colorful Phoenix King, the great sages of the human race, the great sages of the Phoenix race, and the great sages of the spirit race to greet Profound Grand Sage and Swift Cherry Grand Sage. Please report." Great sages of the human race? Hearing the Peacock Divine Mother mention the great sage of the human clan, the vulture's slender neck immediately shrunk, and the vultures behind it trembled and fled hundreds of meters away. It was obvious that Xiao Hua's fierce reputation had already spread to the Origin race. Vulture looked at Xiao Hua and the others with some fear. After hesitating for a moment, he hurriedly said, "Great sages, Divine Mother Peacock, please come with me." Divine Mother Peacock nodded slightly and turned to explain to Xiao Hua, The place where the two great sages of the origin race live is not a place where ordinary demons can go. From here to the origin realm where they live, we need to pass through a spatial portal. Without the approval of the two great sages, this portal cannot be opened. Divine Mother Peacock looked meaningfully at Thunderbolt Immortal and the others as she spoke, but did not say anything else. A few vultures flew out first, probably to report. Xiao Hua and the others followed the other vultures to the mountain peak in the distance. Colorful Phoenix King ignored Vulture and the silence where the great sages passed by. Instead, she looked at the mountain peak in the distance and pondered. After a moment, she sent a voice transmission to Huang Tong. Huang Sheng, I want to ask you a question. Oh, Colorful Phoenix King, please. Huang Sheng was not surprised and replied with a smile. Forgive me for being presumptuous. The colored Phoenix King stole a glance at Xiao Hua and sent a voice transmission in a low voice. I want to ask, what is the relationship between Phoenix Sage, Great Sage Xiao, Phoenix Sage, Thunder Sage, and the others? What relationship? Huang Tong's eyes turned slightly. She asked even though she already knew the answer. What does Colorful Phoenix King mean? Colorful Phoenix King laughed and said, it's nothing much. I just feel that Phoenix Sage and the others are not much weaker than Great Sage Xiao, but why are they so obedient to him? Furthermore, all of you trust him so much that you actually dared to host your bodies in his magic tool. If he has any ill intentions towards all of you, your lives. Oh, so it's about this. Huang Tong already knew what was going on. She smiled and replied, we don't have any special relationship. We just come from the same realm. Our descendants are all in the world that is about to be destroyed. Are like grasshoppers on a rope. We all want to solve the world's crisis and save our descendants. Helping each other in the same boat shouldn't be a big deal, right? Furthermore, Great Sage Xiao's benevolence is obvious to all in our realms. His magnanimity. I admire him very much. Then, Huang Tong's admiration and words of reverence poured out like the Milky Way and flowed endlessly. After a few minutes, Xiao Hua, who was flying in the distance, felt embarrassed. He shouted in his heart to stop Huang Tong from praising herself. The cunning Huang Tong stopped and said with a smile, Colorful Phoenix King, if you have such a fellow Taoist to accompany you into danger, would you be willing to entrust your back to him? Of course, of course. Colorful Phoenix King hurriedly nodded and replied, it's extremely rare to have such a magnanimous demon spirit accompanying me. However, previously, Thunder Sage and the others were all in the Kunlun Mirror. Now, in order to ask about the spatial passage to the Dawn Rain continent, Great Sage Xiao release them all. Does he have the intention of interrogating us? First, Fire Phoenix King excused herself and left, so Colorful Phoenix King did not understand what was going on. Then, when all the sages came together, Colorful Phoenix King suddenly realized that something was wrong. However, she was like an arrow on a bow that had to be released, so she braced herself and asked Huang Tong. Huang Tong already had a plan in mind. He nodded awkwardly and replied, I won't hide it from Colorful Phoenix King. Although Great Sage Xiao didn't discuss it with us, he released Thunder Sage and the others. Obviously, he has the intention of intimidating us. After all, in order to save the lives of the billions of lives in the 3 continents, Great Sage Xiao. And we are willing to pay any price. If Great Sage Shixien knows about the spatial passage to the Dawn Rain continent but does not say it, we might take action. Of course, you can rest assured that Great Sage Xiao is the kindest. He will definitely not lay his hands on ordinary demon spirits. What? Hearing this, Colorful Phoenix King became anxious and said anxiously, Are you prepared to lay your hands on Great Sage Shixien? Huang Tong shrugged and replied innocently, Whether or not we lay our hands on him depends on Great Sage Shixian's intentions. It's just a spatial passage to the Dawn Rain continent. If you know about it, just say it. There's no need to hide it, right? Oh, that's true. It's just a spatial passage. It's not that important. Colorful Phoenix King suddenly realized and said embarrassedly, I'm sorry, Great Sage Huang. I lost my composure a little. After all, I brought you all to the original realm. I'm afraid that it might cause some misunderstanding. It's fine, it's fine. It's very normal. Huang Tong smiled and looked at the aggressive Thunder Sage. Thunder Sage has a fiery temper. With Great Sage Xiao around, he won't be too presumptuous. Ha, too presumptuous. Colorful Phoenix King smiled bitterly in her heart. How could she not understand the meaning behind Huang Tong's words? It seems that he will still be a little presumptuous. However, Colorful Phoenix King was just worried. After all, it was not a big deal for Xiao Hua to go to the original realm. It was just a spatial passage. If there was no spatial passage, then there was no. If there was one, then there was one. There would definitely not be any big trouble. Colorful Phoenix King's probing seemed to have passed, and Huang Tong's probing came again. He immediately said in a low voice, "Since Colorful Phoenix King asked me a question, then I would like to ask Colorful Phoenix King a question." "Go ahead, Sage Huang." Colorful Phoenix King hurriedly replied. "I really want to know what secret Sage Huang wants to ask." "It's nothing." Huang Tong smiled and said, "In the Thousand Demons' sacred realm of the three continents, my demon clan has 8 great sages. They are the heaven-defying Thunder Phoenix, the void-escaping Soul Phoenix, the golden-winged Great Rock, the black-armored Pentaceratops, the flying feather void beast, the red flame vermilion bird, the nether demonic dragon spider, and the 5-colored sea god shell." Oh, the black-armored Pentaceratops and the nether demonic dragon spider wanted to plot against Great Sage Xiao, but they were killed by him. Now, there should be 6 great sages in the Thousand Demons' sacred realm. Hearing this, Colorful Phoenix King was a little surprised. She said in surprise, "Ah? Isn't Great Sage Xiao very benevolent? But why is he so merciless?" Seeing that he had shocked Colorful Phoenix King a little, Huang Tong replied in a low voice, "Great Sage Xiao is a benevolent person, but there are always some who don't know what's good for them. There's nothing we can do about it. Just like the Great Ape King and the Rainbow Lion King. Great Sage Xiao had already warned them, but they still wanted to fight for it." Colorful Phoenix King said helplessly, "Sage Huang, when faced with the 5 elements demon spirits, there aren't many great sages who can resist the temptation. If it wasn't for the Thunder Sage's ferocity that day, if it wasn't for the Peacock Mother's assertion, if it wasn't for the Leopard Whale King's departure, perhaps the other great sages would have joined forces. Who would believe Great Sage Xiao's words? Forget it, let's not talk about this anymore. It's a little off topic." Huang Tong's goal had been achieved. She immediately returned to the topic and said, "I just want to ask, since you're all great sages of the Demon Clan, why are you called Colorful Phoenix King and Fire Phoenix King with the title King, which is similar to Demon King Masa and the other titles, while the Profound Moon Grand Sage and the Swift Cherry Grand Sage are called Great Sages, which is similar to our Thousand Demons' sacred realm?" Hearing that Huang Tong was asking about the Profound Moon Grand Sage and the Swift Cherry Grand Sage, the Colorful Phoenix King was not surprised. She answered without hesitation, "It's very simple. The Profound Moon Grand Sage and the Swift Cherry Grand Sage are the sages of all sages. They were the first 2 demon spirits to become great sages in the 10,000 demons realm. Their names are engraved at the top of the sage rankings. In order to show our respect to them, we don't dare to call ourselves great sages. This is a tradition that has been passed down in the 10,000 demons realm for many years." Hearing this, Huang Tong gasped and asked in surprise, "What do you mean, Colorful Phoenix King? Could it be that the Profound Moon Grand Sage and the Swift Cherry Grand Sage have always been in the 10,000 demons realm? Are they immortal?" The Colorful Phoenix King did not answer immediately. Instead, she raised her head and looked closer. When she saw that Xiao Hua and the others were only moving and did not pay attention to her, she answered, "This is the secret of the 2 great sages of the Origin clan. I don't know much about it. However, when it comes to immortality, it's not that far. The 10,000 demons realm is not the demon alliance. They don't have the strength to surpass the laws of the 10,000 demons realm. In front of the laws of heaven and earth, all living things in the 10,000 demons realm can live and die." "I see." Huang Tong agreed thoughtfully. The 2 great sages of the Origin clan have a special inheritance method that allows them to borrow the power of reincarnation to be born in the origin clan? Huang Tong might not know about Buddhism, but she was no stranger to the power of reincarnation. When she heard Huang Tong's question, she shook her head slightly and said, "The inheritance of the two great sages probably has nothing to do with the power of reincarnation. This is because they don't have any obvious life and death. They just disappear quietly at certain times. When they reappear, although they still have the strength of a great sage, their aura will be somewhat different. It may be weak, thin, or chaotic.